All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. NASCAR Xfinity Series full live commentary race coverage coming for you right here on KRC, the running of the pit boss FoodMaxx 250 at Sonoma Raceway. As it is now the 19th round of the NASCAR Xfinity Series season, Shane Van Gisbergen going to try to go for the sweep for back-to-back weeks. He did it last week in Chicago, starting on the pole, winning the NASCAR Xfinity race, and starting on the pole and winning the NASCAR Cup Series race. He's on the pole for both races already this weekend. It's the first of two races to try to go for the clean sweep again. He qualified on the pole earlier today for the Cup Series, and he qualified on the pole yesterday afternoon for the NASCAR Xfinity side. He does have his teammate for this weekend and probably rival for the race, Connor Zilisch, starting on the front row with him. Zilisch had to start deep in the field at Chicago last week. By the time he got up towards the front of the field, SVG was able to run him down in the closing stretch of the race. Zilisch got his lead virtue of track position games being played during pit strategy. Today, he starts up at the front with him, so it's going to be interesting to see what kind of strategy he's going to do to try to keep up with him, or if he's going to stay out maybe and get some stage points, get some playoff points potentially if he wins any stages, and all that and much more in today's race. 79 laps is our scheduled distance for this afternoon's race. We have not seen many NASCAR Xfinity Series races in Sonoma Raceway history, but we've seen the Xfinity cars run here for the last couple of years. I believe the third consecutive year now that we are seeing the Xfinity side here in wine country. We'll go through the starting lineup for today's race as cars have just entered the racetrack after getting the command to fire engines a little bit ago. Shane Van Gisbergen on the pole for this one, as mentioned already. Connor Zilisch front row starts with him. Behind them in row number 2 will be Sam Mayer and Jesse Love. Row 3 for the rookie William Sawalich and Sammy Smith. Carson Kvapil, Brandon Jones make up row 4. Row 5 rounding out the top 10, Sheldon Creed and Justin Allgaier. Taylor Gray, Blaine Perkins in row 6. Anthony Alfredo, Corey Day back in the Xfinity Series in row 7. Riley Herbst's going to be driving the 19 car for JGR today, and he will be the second of the two Cup Series regulars in this field. Austin Hill outside of row number 8. He's been pretty good in race finish results this season on road courses and really through his Xfinity Series tenure as well, so I could expect him to maybe have a good shot at a top 5 finish today. Jeb Burton, Josh Williams will line up in row number 9, and then row 10 in the top half of the field, rounding out Harrison Burton and Alex LeFay. Behind them in row number 11 will be Christian Eckes and Connor Mosack for the start. Nick Sanchez and Matt DiBenedetto in row 12. Row 13 for Josh Bilicki, Sage Karam. Ryan Ellis, Chris Wright in row 14. Row 15, Ryan Sieg, Jeremy Clements. Row 16, Daniel Dye with Brennan Poole. Austin Green, Parker Retzlaff, row 17. Row 18, Dean Thompson, Will Rogers. And rounding out the field in row number 19 will be Kyle Sieg and Brad Perez. 38 cars on the starting grid for today's Pit Boss FoodMaxx 250. Thanks for everybody tuning in. This is our second live commentary stream of the day. We wrapped up Cup Series practice and qualifying about an hour ago, and we are now here for our first race of the weekend and first of 2 for this week. Truck Series is off again. They will be back at Indianapolis Raceway Park in a couple more weeks. They have 3 off weeks consecutively, so this is the second in a row of them. And I'm curious to see how this is going to all go about. Can Shane Van Gisbergen be dethroned? That's going to be the question for today and tomorrow, just as it was all last weekend at Chicago, and just as it was in Mexico City a couple of weeks before that. STL Mark, Michael Turner, Bam Hall, Graham Cook, Mike H, Steve, Tyler Burbeck. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Shane and Connor's show might just be the Shane show, but we will see if Zilisch has anything for him. Last week, that wasn't really the case. Zilisch did not run this race a season ago. Shane Van Gisbergen did, and SVG did win this Xfinity Series race in Sonoma last year. It was a part of back-to-back road course wins that he had on the Xfinity schedule. They ran Sonoma and Portland in back-to-back weeks. He won both of those races. Those were his first 2 career NASCAR Xfinity Series race wins. So he's trying to win this race 2 years in a row. And just like last year, win back-to-back road and or street races because, again, he won at Chicago in the street course race there a week ago, in both Xfinity and Cup action. Yeah, Marty Smith on the command on the mic to fire engines. Cool to see Marty back at the racetrack again. Brett Whitesides, thanks for tuning in also. Fan of Connor. I think Zilic will have more for SVG than what he did last week, but man, I don't know. He's going to be tough to beat. We could take a look at the practice times that took place yesterday for the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and Connor Zilic was the quickest in practice. Shane Van Gisbergen was third fastest overall, and Zilic had a pretty healthy margin over second and third place, but then when we got to qualifying today, or yesterday, immediately after practice, and SVG beat him out by a couple tenths of a second. Obviously, Van Gisbergen not driving these cars every week this year like Connor Zilic is, so maybe going to be more accustomed with the Xfinity cars than the Cup cars, at least for SVG's sake. He did run an Xfinity race before at this track and won, so he's got that going for him, but obviously that doesn't seem to matter much because you never touch this racetrack in a Cup car outside of testing one time. Our like goal for today's live commentary stream for the Xfinity Series race is going to be 100 likes. We are at 17 in the early going, so be sure to hit the like button. Hopefully we can get to our like goal for the second stream of the day. Again, update tomorrow start times for the NASCAR Cup Series live commentary stream at Sonoma will be at 3 p.m. Eastern tomorrow afternoon, and I'll be doing a NASCAR 08 stream as well. And that will be at 1 p.m. Eastern, maybe a little bit before that, just as early as I can get here. I'll be running that Pepsi 400 at Daytona prior to the start of the Cup race. So on the call for the CW today, Adam Alexander, Christopher Bell, and Parker Kligerman. Do I have audio this time? I do! How about that? I actually have audio for the CW for the first time in a few weeks now.
Lunch, go through the map here and tell us some of the.
Right. Well, it starts in at turn one. It's the 70 feet of elevation changes. You head up this mountain. It seems into turn two. You go to get to the inside, but you don't want to use too much of the inside curve. It will really upset the race car. And this leads to going to the highest portion of the racetrack, and then it gets all the way down to the bottom and one of the slowest parts of the racetrack.
Yeah, turn 7 is really the first great opportunity to pass on the track. Really heartbreaking zone, a really tight corner. There's going to be a lot of dive bombs, a lot of contact there in turn 7. That'll lead you down through the S's and into turn 10, which turn 10, all about setting up that passing zone for turn 11. Turn 10 can be really sketchy, get you offline, or set you up for a great braking opportunity in 11.
You referenced turn 11 and the significance that it plays here. And my dream situation is today, final lap. You got Connor Zilic and Shane
something like that.
Bergen. Yes, just like that. Break down the 88 this afternoon, qualified second.
I think last week Connor Zilic learned a lesson in that Shane Van Gisbergen was his teammate at Junior Motorsports, his trackhouse teammate. He thought he might want to race him cleaner than he did. But what he learned is Shane really wants to win, and he will do what it takes. I think the roles are reversed. Today, Connor knows what it might take to beat Shane.
Absolutely. I can promise you, Shane knows that he cannot leave the door open coming into those final laps. But Shane, he's got it cooking right now. He's got all the confidence in the world, especially at these road course races. It's been really fun to see him get a shot in that Junior Motorsports number 9, which we've seen those Junior Motorsports cars be great all season long.
They've won the last 5 races on the road as JRM with 4 different drivers. 2 of the victors starting on the front row today. Great flag comes your way next.
Yep, Shane Van Gisbergen and Connor Zilic on the front row for this one. We've seen the 9 car go to victory lane twice with 2 different drivers already this season on road course races. SVG last week and Daniel Suarez in Mexico City a few weeks before that. It's nice that you'll get to listen into some of the audio for the CW coverage of the race today. For the first time in a few weeks. Been doing it full solo for the Xfinity Series live commentary streams for the last 3 weeks on the channel. Nice to give my voice a little bit of a rest. Got to save up for the main event tomorrow. In all seriousness, though, it's good to know that that's back. Also, for the side of things when I'm taking over, at least I can hear what's going on as far as updates throughout the course of the race. If anybody has any sort of issues, unscheduled pit stops, at least we know the determining factor as to what it is that said driver or team is dealing with. Updates during pit stops. I see a lot of people going for Connor Zilic in the race today. The chat poll says otherwise, though. Chat poll currently has Shane Van Gisbergen as the top vote getter. And that chat poll will close at the end of stage 2. We have 30 votes so far in our pre-race portion of the stream. 67% of those 30 votes taken SVG, so that's about 2/3. Connor Zilic had 20% of the votes, 10% for somebody other than Zilic, SVG, or Justin Allgaier. Allgaier at 3%. Allgaier's kind of struggled in the road course races in recent years. I probably shouldn't have put him. I probably should have put a Sam Mayer up there who has won a couple road races before. But I can't edit the chat poll now, so we're stuck with it. Appreciate that, STL Mark. Tyler, enjoying yourself at the racetrack. That's awesome. Yeah, hopefully you have a good day. Keep that sunscreen on. Doesn't look like there's a cloud in the sky today. Forecast is bright, sunny. I don't know what the temperatures are reading. This race is usually in early June, but being in the middle of July, I would assume it's a relatively warmer racetrack than what we're used to seeing. A lot of the drivers in Cup practice earlier when they were getting interviewed were stating that the track was more slick than it had been from last year, which was the first year under the repave of Sonoma, to this year. It's 82 degrees. High of 84 today. Sonoma, California. And tomorrow looks to be about the same, low 80s. It's cooler than I thought. Maybe the weather's not much different, I guess, this time of the year compared to in June. "79 laps, again our scheduled distance. Stage 1 distance, only 20 laps. Same for stage 2. And the final stage, 39 laps to take us to the end. Shahir Gaming, Brock Hay, welcome to the stream. Front row going to be the same at the end, 988. Yeah, I think that is a very good prediction. We shall see, though, they get into any incidences along the way, especially on these restarts. We know how wild and chaotic that they can be on the NASCAR ranks, especially when you go down into the lower series like the truck and Xfinity side. It could be somebody else's mistake causing the problem for everybody else. I had the stage splits wrong, by the way. Sorry about that. 20, 25, and 34. Stage 2 is 25 laps, not 20. 34 in the final. Fuel window is about 34 to 36 laps, so they should be able to make it that final stage on fuel to the end, especially if we end up seeing any caution laps. And because this is a somewhat freshly repaved surface, I don't think tires are going to mean a whole lot. So track position is going to be the name of the game. It's a pretty simple two-stop race. for fuel. Mostly going to be seeing him pit at or before the end of both stages today. Tomorrow, the Cup race will be a little bit longer. It'll be more of a 3-stop race, and we'll see pit stops at some point in stage 3, but not this afternoon. Shane Van Gisbergen, our pole sitter for the second consecutive week, going to try to win for the second consecutive week as he leads the field to the green. We're underway in the Pit Boss FoodMaxx 250 at Sonoma. Field rushes through turn 1. Very tight angle corner, now uphill through the carousel, and the wrong part of the track. One car already off-roading down to the bottom of the racetrack, cuts the curb completely. Out in the sand, Daniel Dye and Austin Green were the 2 cars that went wide. I'm not sure which one of their cars went wide first and then the other got spun after contact from behind, but both were off-roading it. They get on course but lose quite a few spots. Van Gisbergen was able to pull clear for the race lead at the end of the carousel on Connor Zilich. Middle of the pack, a few cars jamming it in 3 wide in turn 7. One of 2 hairpins on the racetrack. A complete U-turn down in the second one, though, in turn number 11. That is where the field heads currently. And Connor Zilich through the S's has a big run after Shane Van Gisbergen, and he's going to try to pull out a line and look to make a pass. But SVG a lot deeper into the braking zone in turn 11. Is able to keep the 88 at bay behind him. While Jesse Love and Sam Mayer are still side by side for third. They were side by side through turn 11 at the bottom of the track. They still are across the start-finish line and through turn 1 as well. Zilich trying to round out the corner, a wider entrance through the carousel this time around. Into turn 3, Zilich is still hot on the heels of the 9 of SVG. Van Gisbergen just got a mirror full of Zilich. So Daniel Dye was the first car that went off-roading, and then Austin Green had gotten contacted by Team Thompson from behind. And that's what sent the 32 car off into the grassy area behind Daniel Dye. So they fell back quite a bit. They're trying to regain some sort of spots here before the end of this first stage as the field's still clumped together off the initial start. Zilich pulling out a line, looking to make a pass in turn 11 again. This time he does beat the 9 of Shane Van Gisbergen to the inside. The last lap he couldn't. And now it's side by side for the lead as they cross the start-finish line. Van Gisbergen leads the lap, but not by much. Zilich will be on the outside through turn 1, but now he's going to have... And he's clear. Out in front. Van Gisbergen, crossover, but slides the rear tires just a bit. Maybe some dust kicked up on the racetrack from those 2 cars that went off-roading earlier. A lot of rear wheel spin for the 9 of Van Gisbergen, so he loses the battle for the lead. And Sam Mayer quickly caught him from behind and will challenge into turn 4 on the outside for second place. Very tight corner to run side by side. They did a great job keeping it off one another. Van Gisbergen's still going to have the advantage on the inside of turn 7. Pulls clear. Mayer locks the brakes up. Blows the corner on that outside line and now has to play defense through the S's on Jesse Love in a battle for third. Van Gisbergen lost quite a bit of time running side by side for about 3 consecutive corners with Mayer. Zilich is off and running. Just over a 1-second lead down into turn 11, the same area of the track that Zilich had beat SVG on the last lap to take the lead. Van Gisbergen, after leading the first 2 laps, will have our first official lead change at the line. Zilich leads lap 3. Rima Ricky Atkins, thanks for tuning in as well. John Barber, Ronnie Packman, welcome to the stream. Tim Fowler, Federico Sanchez, Brock Hay, and many others. A lot of you were tuned in earlier during our practice and qualifying live commentary stream, so thanks for tuning back in again for your double dose of NASCAR content. I think a really good thing for Zilich to qualify up at the front this time is he's able to actually follow Shane Van Gisbergen on the racetrack, where he was not able to do that for Chicago last week, and kind of figure out where SVG is beating him on a consistent basis. He followed him for 1 lap, and then on the second lap he quickly struck, was able to take the lead. And Zilich is doing a good job holding on for now. Van Gisbergen has closed the gap just a little bit. You can probably say the same for SVG. Going to learn off the back of the 88 now and see what he is doing even more different than what SVG was doing on that first lap or two. Van Gisbergen locks up the front tires just a bit into turn 10. Didn't really look like he lost any ground. If anything, he gains a bit on Connor Zilic. Zilic does have the fastest lap, which was lap 2, 78.702. And now Van Gisbergen just put down a 78.127. He sets the fastest lap of the race, and that was on the lap they just recently completed. 0.6 quicker than Zilic's fastest lap. It seems to be time in and time out. If Van Gisbergen gets beat, he is able to overcome any kind of minimal mistake much quicker than any other driver I've seen in recent years on the NASCAR ranks on these road courses. I mean, to run 0.6 quicker than the guy who had the fastest lap before that is just insane. Next question is who's going to take care of their equipment better the longer the run goes? Meanwhile, an ad playing side by side on CW Sports, we've got a pass for the lead again. Shane Van Gisbergen has gotten by Connor Zilic, and that was coming out of the S's and headed towards turns 9 and 10. Holds clear through 10. Turn 11 is where Zilic has been beating him, so we'll see down on the bottom of the racetrack. Van Gisbergen with a defensive line. Zilic widens his corner entry out quite a bit into that hairpin. Gets a slightly better corner exit. But Van Gisbergen leads. So 2 lead changes in the first 5 laps between the 9 and the 88. Great battle for the lead out in front of the field at Sonoma. Paga, thanks for tuning in also. Showing a replay of the pass for the lead, again, right in the S's, one of the tighter areas of the racetrack to actually hold a side-by-side battle, which they were able to do cleanly with one another. Slight mishap, though, for Van Gisbergen, pushing a little too hard in turn 4. Went wider than what he probably would have liked, and through the S's this time by, it's Connor Zilic all over the back of the 9. And he's had great runs out of turns 9 and 10 before. So can he do that again to make a charge for turn 11, which is probably the biggest passing zone on the racetrack? One of a few of them. Turn 7, obviously the other major one. Zilic was not able to pounce on Van Gisbergen for the lead through turn 11 this time around. 6 laps complete at the line, and the top 5 currently scores Shane Van Gisbergen out in front, Connor Zilic in second, Sam Mayer third, Jesse Love fourth, and Sammy Smith in fifth. We'll take our first break. You're listening live on KRC to NASCAR Xfinity Series race coverage at Sonoma. AJ up, thanks for tuning in. Shane's not here for points. No, he is. Or, no, he isn't. Sorry. I meant to agree with you, not disagree. This is the battle that we were probably expecting to see at Chicago last week, but it is on full display this week at Sonoma. I think anybody who has a ticket to the race is going to be amused by the two that are probably going to be the class of the field, but it's going to be one heck of a battle for 79 laps. So far, 7 laps in, it's been tremendous. And another run for Zilic out of turn 10. Kind of fakes low, then goes high. He gets to the left rear corner panel of Shane Van Gisbergen. For a brief moment, he was side by side. Holds with him out of the exit of the turn. Rounding out turn 1 and back through the carousel again. It's amazing how it doesn't matter which one of these guys leads and which one's in second. They're able to get the mobility in their race cars to run a slightly altered line than the car in front of them that gives them just a little bit of clean air on the nose to keep them in contention. Yet on the very short straightaways where we don't see a lot of draft effect here at Sonoma in particular compared to other road courses on the schedule, but they're able to stay tight enough. They're well within striking distance at all times. And I would not be shocked if Zilich is going to make another pass sometime soon on Shane Van Gisbergen yet again. Unscheduled pit stop, by the way, for Christian Eckes. He just came in left pit road, 4-tire stop on lap 8. Obviously, with this being a road course and early in the run, he will stay on the lead lap when he exits pit road, but now at the tail end of the field. So SVG, who had the fastest lap on lap 4, now gets broken. Fastest lap of the race on lap 7 was Connor Zilich a couple laps ago, 77.735. So the race pace is just getting quicker and quicker with the laps being put down as these drivers are just getting in more and more of a rhythm. There's no tire fall off. This is only the second year we've seen this asphalt at Sonoma be used. Last year was the repave year, and this year, the second year after the fact. Shout out, by the way, also Sam Mayer. Haven't talked about him much, but he's pulling quite a ways ahead of fourth on back, and he is sticking with these top two. We're going to continue to race the heck out of each other. Is that enough for if we do see any little bit of fall off in the tires that Sam Mayer's maybe saving enough and he could strike on the later portion of the run? I mean, so far, obviously, we haven't seen tire fall off. I don't expect there to really be any. But if there is, Mayer's only a second off the lead. Van Gisbergen a little wider out of turn 10 this go around. Zilich has played nice with him. I thought he was going to put the bumper to him in turn 11. He did not. Kind of what he did a couple laps ago where he had such a wide entry, he almost kind of hung on that left rear corner panel to the outside in turn 11. But because he was hanging there too long through the corner, he kind of couldn't get the cut in behind him and try that over-under move. He just has to sit behind him, wait through turn 12, turn 1, and then attack through the carousel and hope that you can keep this close pressure by the time you get down to turns 4 and turn 7, which is the next best passing opportunity. Both cars roll over the curbing in turn 4 pretty well. Connor Zilich, wide entrance into turn 7. He's got a little bit of speed on him as they head through the S's downhill slope. Zilich getting everything he could on the inside of turn 10. Van Gisbergen maybe a little bit wider out of the exit of the corner. I mean, you can tell both these guys are driving the wheels off of their race cars right now. Giving it everything they've got and then some, even in these first 10 laps. We can't guarantee on strategy purposes and the way restarts will lay out later in the race that we're going to see this kind of a battle at the end, so we might as well enjoy it while it lasts, and if it lasts the entire 79 laps of this race, then better for us, the race fans. Because we're probably going to see these guys pit before the end of stage 1, which is only going to be about 7 or 8 laps from now. Zilich already has wins. He's locked into the Xfinity Series playoffs. Van Gisbergen isn't going for points. And it is a 2-stop race for fuel, so I would imagine they're going to pit before the end of the stage and not necessarily try to stretch this thing on one stop. I mean, if we catch cautions, they can maybe make it on one stop, but we're not guaranteed any yellows outside of the stage cautions, and I don't think that's enough caution laps to make it on one stop, knowing that 32 to 34 laps is the fuel window in a 79-lap race. That only gets us to about lap 68, 69, somewhere in there, so it'd be a bit risky if we don't see tire fall off even, 30 plus laps into a run though. So, maybe somebody tries to take that gamble, do something different than these leaders. So Sam Mayer, who was sticking around with these top two for quite a ways into the race, first 10, 11 laps or so, he's fallen to about 2 seconds off of the race lead. Zilich is 0.4 to a half a second back on the current lap we're working, which is lap 12. Shane Van Gisbergen, our leader. Pass that was just made for fourth this last time by. William Sawalich is about 10 seconds off the lead in fourth. Carson Kvapil will take over fifth as he passes Jesse Love. Kvapil's 11 seconds off the lead. And that is your top five right now. 8 laps to go in stage one at the start-finish line this time around. Shane Van Gisbergen was able to gap Connor Zilich for the race lead on this current lap. He's now got about a 4 to 5 car length advantage, which is probably the biggest lead he has had so far today. Zilich had about a 1 second lead after there was a bit of a battle between the 9 and the 41 for about a half a lap when Van Gisbergen fell out of the lead his lone time. Bit of contact between Brandon Jones and Sheldon Creed the last time through turn 11. Nothing major, just kind of bouncing off one another. Jesse Love is on pit road. 4-tire pit stop here. He was starting to give up a lot of time. He lost a couple positions before bringing his car to pit road. And the team is at length going to work on the right rear. I'm not sure if they made an adjustment to the race car or not. They could. Now somebody's underneath the car on the left side. I think they're making a massive adjustment underneath the race car, which is lengthening this Jesse Love pit stop up. But on a road course, and knowing the stage caution is coming at lap 20, he could get away with this. As long as he beats the leaders out of the pits and stays on the lead lap. Even if he falls a lap down, he could get the free pass position if nobody else is a lap down at the end of the stage. See if Jesse Love's still in his pit box. He is. Okay, so Love's still in his pit box. He just went a lap down. The leaders are on the front stretch. Van Gisbergen leads another lap. And we're down to 7 laps to go now in the stage. Sam Mayer's fallen to 3.5 seconds off the lead, so he was holding on for about a dozen laps, and then he's starting to fall by the wayside. 78.4 the last lap for Mayer, and the leaders are still running 77.6s. In fact, the fastest lap of the race for both Van Gisbergen and Zilich was the last lap on lap 13. 77.69 and a 77.61. Van Gisbergen the quicker of the two. So even though Zilich lost Van Gisbergen just a little bit, he still put his fastest lap together in doing so. Van Gisbergen was just that much quicker. Marginal gain at the most. Bubba Reese Gish, thanks for tuning in. This feels like an abnormally long commercial break that the CW is taking right now. Luckily, both of them have been side-by-side commercial breaks. So I haven't missed any of the action, but I swear they took it like 4 laps ago. That's what it feels like. 4 laps on a road course is quite a bit of time, too. I mean, we have 5.5 laps to go, and they're still under commercial in the stage. I would imagine we're going to start to see a healthy amount of cars come onto pit road. If not this time by, the following time by. 5 to go, coming to 4 to go. I think you're going to see a lot of cars pit. Pit road closes with 2 laps to go in the stage when the race leader gets to the start-finish line. And because these two are so far ahead of pretty much everybody else, outside of Sam Mayer, quite a ways back. Jesse Love is still in the pits, by the way.
Number 2 Chevy is about more than speed today. It carries the names of fallen law enforcement officers as part of Whelan's ongoing
Actually, I think this is a
partnership with
replay.
the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund. It's a partnership Jesse is proud to honor on his car. Here's Carla Metz.
The National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund is dedicated to honoring the fallen and telling the story of American law enforcement and making it safer for those who serve. Whelan's partnership with this fund and their annual tribute cards, the powerful tradition, each one carrying hundreds of real names engraved into the National Memorial and the page alone. You can scan the QR code to donate.
I saw Jesse doing some social media this week with some law enforcement. I believe it was in the state of Alabama, but did a really good job of sending the message of the importance of law enforcement. And unfortunate, I talked before the break about this being his home track. These issues going to end this afternoon.
Yeah, most likely some sort of rear end issue here, possibly a broken track bar mount, which happens at the road course all the time. As you see, Riley Herbst here on pit road, 5 to go. That window is open right now for these teams that want to flip the stage. He's obviously doing just a part-time schedule, doesn't care about those stage points. He wants to flip it.
Let's go 88 radio. Connor Zilic second right now.
The only car within 12 seconds is at 41. All the guys will have to see what time to go. Planning on running 6 out on the page.
All right. Well, that gives you the game plan if it all goes to plan. They want those points and a playoff point. Obviously, the 9 being Shane Van Gisbergen does not care. He's just here to do one thing only, and a part-time driver and a part-time team, and that is win the race.
Yeah, we're going to have some split strategies. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
And it's going to be fun. When you put one driver back in the pack and somebody else up front, watching these two match up later on. Nick Sanchez making his scheduled green flag stop. 4 to go on the stage, Kim.
Yeah, and talking with Patrick Donahue, the crew chief, he said the car is much better than they qualified. Very disappointed with the qualifying effort. However, he said the winning strategy he felt like was to short pit both stages. They won't have to stretch it on fuel if they short pit that second stage. Right now, though, a complaint that we're hearing across the field, losing grip on the 48 of Nick Sanchez.
So you flip the stage. You come before the stage ends, and then when others pit, at the end of the stage, you cycle to the front. It's a game of a leapfrog, the back and forth of strategy on a road course. And we talk about doing it inside of 5 laps to go. We'll close pit road with 2 to go on the stage. So you have to get your service done prior to that. And most going to do it with 3 to go because they're too far back to wait for 2 to go with these guys out front just pulling away from the pack.
Christopher, you mentioned earlier that I'm just blown away right now. We're seeing other cars struggle with fall off. We've heard of some tire issues out there. These two, on the other hand, have set their fastest laps just within the last 3 laps and continue to be more than a second to a second and a half faster than the field, Kim.
Now, Williams Lodge coming in for his routine stop. Confident after that ARCA West win yesterday. In fact, the team said that is exactly what this driver needed after the up-and-down season that they've had. William, though, saying he needs drive and side fights. They will make a slight adjustment, Dylan.
Yes, and Allgaier is in as well, right side of the screen, like many others, just reporting that he needs forward drive. He said the left rear is smoked. They're going to change 4 tires, add fuel, and make an adjustment on the 7.
Allgaier, the reigning champ, 3 wins in road course competition in his career. See Corey Day also making a pit stop, driving the 17 for Hendrick Motorsports. Baseball radio. The 9 will come here. He does. And look who he brings with him. Connor Zilic fitting as well. You know, the one thing I like about this, you have such an advantage.
That's what I was thinking.
I mean, you pit here. You may not win the stage, but you're still going to finish top 10, right, Dylan?
That Zilic peels off there right at the head of pit road. Just asking for a little bit of forward drive. They were telling him just manage your stuff here over the course of this run. He did that pretty well and hung with SVG, who's at the right of the screen and headed to pit road. 4 tires and fuel for the 88.
Yeah, and SVG has the very last box on pit road. He reporting no rear rip, no rear laterate, and he said it's worse on the right-hander, so they'll look to give him a slight adjustment to get him a little bit more stability. Take those 4 fresh Goodyear tires and Sonoma fuel. You see the chassis adjustment there. It's going to be a head-to-head battle off pit road between SVG and his teammate coming in that screen, Connor Zilic.
This is not for the lead right now, but you want to be in front of the other. When you talk about these two, and the 88 team taking care of business in the exchange, it's Connor Zilic that jumps in front of the 9.
And you pointed out the most amazing part about this is with the way they stretched that lead. Since we heard that radio, the 88 wanting to pit here, or not wanting to stay out, they've stretched so much, Mister, that they basically have the ability to pit and still come out and get stage point. Zilic right now at 9th.
That is the best of both worlds for sure.
unbelievable.
You know, last week at Chicago in the Cup race, Shane Van Gisbergen almost was able to do it at the Cup level. I think he finished 11th in the stage, but it's just remarkable the speed that he puts up, and obviously on Saturdays, Connor Zilisch. So that turns the race lead over to Sam Mayer.
Yep, Sam Mayer's out ahead by about 10 seconds over Brandon Jones. Mayer was running in third place, pretty much in no man's land. He had about a 6-second deficit to the two cars of Zilisch and SVG in front of him, and he had about 6 seconds plus on the cars running behind him. Now it's 10 seconds to Brandon Jones. Jones is in second after cycling through the green flag pit stops. Carson Kvapil third, Sammy Smith fourth, Sheldon Creed fifth, Anthony Alfredo sixth, Alex LeBay seventh, Blaine Perkins eighth, Connor Zilisch ninth, Ryan Sieg rounds out our current top 10. This is, again, the final lap of the stage, and those top 10 positions will all receive stage points based on their finishing order for the opening stage of the race. Sam Mayer still locking his tires up into turn 7. He's pushing as hard as he can, even with a 9.5 to 10 second lead. Andrew Shekel, thanks for tuning in. Janet Barker, Dean Tate, Rod Brown, Mike Murray, and others who I might not have shouted out. Thank you for watching. So point of watching, don't show the race. Well, I can't for copyright reasons. So that's why the stream specifically states live commentary. You'll get all the commentary of the race. You'll know what's happening at all times, but I can't show visually what is going on. Ideally, in a perfect world, I would love to show the race visually and then have my own commentary as the race is going on so you can see on the forefront of what's happening as it's happening. So I upload clips after the streams, depending on, what moments happen throughout the course of the race. And those videos will get uploaded either the night of or the day after, depending on the significance of what happens throughout the course of the race. If we have a classic finish between Zilisch and SVG on what was a already classic battle, I'd say, for stage 1 between the two when they were out in front of the field, I can guarantee you guys that will be uploaded on the channel at some point later on after the stream. But Sam Mayer going to win stage 1 here today at Sonoma, virtue of the top 2 cars pitting. This is the second stage win of the year for Mayer. He does not have a race win yet, but he is third in the regular season standings coming in, so this is pretty clutch for him. He needs all the points he can get. Brandon Jones second in the stage, Carson Kvapil third, Sammy Smith fourth, Sheldon Creed rounds out the top 5, and then 6 was Anthony Alfredo, Alex LeBay 7th, Blaine Perkins 8th, Connor Zilisch 9th, Ryan Sieg 10th. And then Shane Van Gisbergen was 11th, as Zilich's crew won him the race off pit road, and it looked like there was about a 2-second gap between Zilisch and SVG post pit stops. They'll obviously get bunched back together, and if everybody that stayed out to get stage points in front of these two pit during the stage caution, then those two will be on the front row for the next restart. Dab Dab Goose, thanks for tuning in. CW aired the race once live this year. Hope they pull their contract. That's tough. I live in the Toledo, Ohio area. I've had the race on CW all year. I will say the last 3 races, I haven't had any audio of what was going on. I did luckily have the visuals, but there was no commentary audio the entire last 3 weeks. It's back this week. I don't know what changed. I had audio all season up until 3 weeks ago for the Xfinity series. I think it was the Michigan race. No, they didn't race at Michigan. So it was the week after. Mexico City, I believe. No, it wasn't Mexico City, because I can remember the crowd going nuts for Daniel Suarez. I mean, whatever the last 3 races have been for the Xfinity series, that's when it has been going on. Lincoln Kim Hollingsworth, thanks for tuning in. Gary Jansen, appreciate you watching. Andrew Hughes, thanks for tuning in. Good morning from Australia. Yeah, probably a lot of Aussies, I'd imagine, and New Zealanders out there watching Shane Van Gisbergen put on a master class the last several weeks. Chance to do it yet again. Got a cop show on. Who needs to watch the Xfinity series when you can watch Dog the Bounty Hunter or something? I think somebody mentioned that was on their CW in recent weeks. Yeah, that's tough. The Rat Farmer, thanks for tuning in. All right. I could see a possibility for the front 8, Zilich is in 9th. The front 8 cars that stayed out to get stage points, potentially staying out here to keep their track position and then pitting middle of the next stage. If they try to stretch it on fuel, the safe play would be to pit, because they're definitely not going to make it on fuel on one stop if we don't catch any incidental cautions. I don't think the caution laps at the end of both stages are going to be enough. And stage 1 went caution free. The way these road courses are laid out, you're definitely not guaranteed the yellows, and here they come. So Sam Mayer, Brandon Jones, Carson Quapple, and the rest of those 8 to 11 cars that did not pit are in.
A bunch of them down here still.
Sammy Smith finished 4th in that stage. In the 8 car, he is the first pit box at the head of pit road. This is the same song and dance you've heard from about everybody today. Lacking rear grip. He also said, I really need a windshield tear off. There's a lot of fluid out there, and I'm struggling to see. Chassis and an air pressure adjustment on the 8 car, Kim.
Well, Dylan, we're going to sound like broken record all day for Brandon Jones. 2 numbers too loose to start there by the end of the run. A number 3 too loose. He said no rear grip at all. He'll look for some stability there with that chassis adjustment. You see 4 fresh Goodyear tires, Snowgo fuel for stage 1 winner. Sam Mayer losing overall lateral grip. He said the biggest thing, he's sliding the rears in both the right and left handles. You see him now on the right of your screen. They will make a track bar adjustment.
And now,
all right, race off of pit road. Brandon Jones going to win it. Sam Mayer, who went in first, dropped 2 spots. And pretty much 1 spot gained or lost for everybody else of the dozen or so that came in. Lost a track position for them, that is for sure. We'll see how they can scratch and claw their way through, as we still have about 3/4 of the race remaining. A little less than that. Oh, yeah, that's right. Evo Gene was the one that's at Dog the Bounty Hunter. That's right. Mike G, welcome to the stream. Grand Marquise. SVG is doing great. He's led the most laps so far. Connor Zilich going to be the leader on the restart. The 88 team won the race off of pit road during green flag stops before the end of the last stage. This will be the second time Zilich has led. He did take the lead on lap 3 from Shane Van Gisbergen, and he led laps 3 and 4. SVG passed him back on lap 5. Those were the 2 lead changes prior to the 3rd lead change, which was Sam Mayer taking the lead after the top 2 in front of him pitted. Mayer stayed out to get the stage points and get the stage win in stage 1, so he picks up his 2nd stage win of the year, 10 regular season points. Again, he has not had a win yet this season, so he's not locked into the Xfinity playoff field. So that was the strategy in him staying out, pitting, or staying out, not pitting. Motor City Cowboy, thanks for tuning in. Also, timing in the CW suck. You know, the things that I've heard from the CW is so contrasted for whether you love or hate it. The love is coming from the people that are actually able to watch the race, from what I've seen on the internet. Like, I do most of the commentary at these live commentary streams, so I don't really focus too much on the production side of things when it comes to whatever channel or, Prime, for streaming. Whoever is showing the visuals of the race. I did catch a lot of the post-race after the stream the last couple of weeks with TNT and with Prime Video. That's where I'm able to catch the most, but that's off stream. because they go so long after the race is over. We stay live after the race for 15, 20 minutes on the Cup days. Usually Xfinity truck races we're live for 5 to 10 minutes after the race, if that. That's about it. Try to condense these streams down just a little bit. But Cup Series, we go over all the pre-race predictions, fantasy league, poll results, what happened in the race. It's more of a race review afterwards. But like when Prime was on, that Coke 600 was over. We went through our post-race, and I was watching Prime Video for like another 40 minutes or so. They had a post-race going on, which was awesome. Gives me the ability to digest NASCAR a little bit more the way I used to before the YouTube channel. I have a lot of fun, obviously, watching with you guys. But to sit back, relax, and watch something NASCAR related on my own, we don't really get that ability much anymore. I mean, there's literally no shows that are going on during the week or anything. Here's Jesse Love following his retirement from the race.
Yeah, they're at broken half, so definitely a bummer, but nothing we can really do about it. Trying to fix it. And, I mean, all your runs is basically split in two right now.
How disappointing is it after you were running so well?
Yeah, obviously it sucks, right? It's a bummer, but I don't know. I try not to get too low, right? Still a lot of good that came out of this weekend. I've put so much effort into the road course stuff, and people like Josh Wise and Scott Speed have worked really hard with me to, be better on these road courses, and I feel like it was kind of the first weekend that I feel like I could run with Shane and Connor. So there's still a lot to be proud of. Sometimes these things are going to happen, and kind of got to roll with the punches. The worst part is the points, obviously, that loss, but we just got to keep on doing what we've been doing, and I feel like we're getting our cars faster after the last month we've had. So that's been solid. I've been happy about that, and we'll just keep working at it. And I'm proud of the good stuff that came out of this weekend.
Oh, good dude.
And describe the race like Darrell Waltrip. Oh, God. When is his birthday? I keep forgetting. Whenever his birthday rolls around, I feel like I have to do the introduction to the race the way that he would usually do it. Let's see, Darrell Waltrip. February 5th. Well, okay, so for the Clash every year, I will do the introduction to the race the same way DW do it. I keep forgetting to do that. For that race only. But it won't be the whole race. It'll only be at that moment. Back to the racing side of things. Stage 2 is underway. Green flag is back in the air. We've got Connor Zilisch and Shane Van Gisbergen on the front row yet again. This time Zilisch is a controlled car. Elected for what would be the inside lane through the carousel out of turns 2 and 3. Van Gisbergen holds on strong on the outside for the time being. Nearly touching fenders as they get into turn 3, and SVG going to have to settle in line behind Zilisch. Everybody's still pretty tightly packed in back behind these leaders. A lot of 2x2 racing going on into the 4th turn. Sam Mayer, who stayed out to get the stage win, trying to get a couple spots back. He thought about going 3 wide to the bottom in turn 4, did not. Turn 7, SVG drives it in way too deep. Doing everything he could to get to the inside of Zilisch in that corner. A little bit of impatience maybe got him there. And he falls about 2 to 3 car lengths off the lead now through the next set of corners as they roll downhill through the S's. Mostly single file now through the top 10 after it was a cluster of a mess until most of the field got out of turn 7. Great corner, though, through turn 10 by SVG. Caught Zilisch sleeping. Zilisch all the way to the bottom of the racetrack to block, and Van Gisbergen puts the bumper to Zilisch. That was very much a block and defensive line. I don't think Zilisch could have entered any lower without hitting the inside retaining wall on the bottom of the hairpin corner in turn 11. And when Van Gisbergen moved him up, he couldn't get the fire off to stay underneath him. So Zilisch held on for at least another lap, another set of corners. Yeah, I can't describe the technical details of the race car. I've never driven these race cars, so that I don't the Mike Joy abilities of being able to describe what's happening on track as it's happening, but not the intricacies of everything else. Because it's me, myself, commentated, that's why I do end up having the audio of the race on at various times, because they can describe things that I can't. You know, ideally, if I can get a couple retired drivers to help me out with the stream, that'd be great, but I don't think that that's ideological. Turn 11, another striking point for Shane Van Gisbergen. He was not able to make the pass for the second consecutive lap on Connor Zilic, but he was able to regain whatever momentum he had lost on the front half of the racetrack that same lap. William Sawalich, who is now the third place driver, was in fourth right before the pit stops happened under green at the end of stage 1. Survived the restart. He remains in third, but he's not able to keep touch with these top two like Sam Mayer was for about the first half of stage 1. Definitely not as many clean laps put down by the 88 and the 9 at this point in the run. Making a lot of mistakes with one another. I do think Zilic is maybe holding up Van Gisbergen a little bit with more defensive lines as the reasoning as to why we haven't seen as fast of lap times by either of these two. At least in stage 2 so far, because the fastest laps of the race for anybody who isn't Van Gisbergen or Zilic, the rest of the top 5 ran their fastest lap on lap 27 the last time by. Sawalich, Hill, Allgaier all ran their fastest laps of the race the last lap. We're on lap 28 right now. Zilic's best corner where he was beating Van Gisbergen on a consistent basis was turn 11 back at stage 1 when he was the guy on offense trying to charge the leader. But now Shane Van Gisbergen being on offense, he's been able to charge in turn 11 and Zilic has not been able to. Under driving the entry to turn 2 for Shane Van Gisbergen, he had his right side tires down below the curbing. That slowed him down quite a bit. Still within about a half a second of the lead, though. Yeah, the chat crew helps out with the extra engagement, I guess, too, when it comes to not having co-commentators with me. Turn 10, defense by Connor Zilic, but he does not beat the 9 to the inside lane into turn 11 this go-around. He's going to hold tight to the door of Shane Van Gisbergen out of turn 11, still side by side for the lead. That lap was led at the line by Zilic, 6 1/1000ths of a second. So no official lead change, but Van Gisbergen has the inside lane into turns 2 and 3. He will hold on. And we have another lead change. Shane Van Gisbergen out in front for the third different time already today. And just that side-by-side battle for the 3 or 4 turns that they were side-by-side for, William Sawalich was able to close the gap on second place. He's now within a few car lengths behind Zilic. When Van Gisbergen passed Connor Zilic back for the lead in stage 1, Zilic didn't go anywhere. I mean, the furthest he fell behind was maybe 6 or 7 tenths of a second at the most. And they were basically trading lap times back and forth with one another. I do think Zilic is able to run more cleaner laps when he has been on offense. It seems like when he's leading, he's running too many defensive lines. And he's not able to get away from Shane Van Gisbergen as much as what SVG has been able to get away from Zilic, even if it is only the 6 or 7 tenths of a second. That's more breathing room than what Connor Zilic had, for instance, the entire green flag run prior to SVG making the pass here in stage 2 after about 6 or 7 green flag laps. We'll go through the full field leaderboard at lap 30, side-by-side commercial break on CW right now. We've got Shane Van Gisbergen out in front, Connor Zilic second. Williams Sawalich 1.1 seconds off the lead in third. 1.9 seconds back is Austin Hill in fourth. And Justin Allgaier is fifth. Nick Sanchez sixth. Riley Herb 7th. Josh Williams 8th. Harrison Burton 9th. And rounding out the top 10 is Brandon Jones. Sheldon Creed in 11th. Sammy Smith 12th. Carson Quapple 13th. Sam Mayer 14th. Blaine Perkins 15th. 16th is Jeb Burton. Ryan Sieg 17th. Christian Eckes 18th. Alex LeBay 19th. And 20th is Taylor Gray. Ryan Ellis 21st. Brennan Poole 22nd. Austin Green 23rd. 24th for Anthony Alfredo. 25th Corey Day. Dean Thompson 26th. Matt DiBenedetto 27th. Connor Mosack 28th. Daniel Dye 29th. And Sage Karam 30th. Josh Balicki 31st. Parker Retzlaff 32nd. Jeremy Clements 33rd. Ryan Ellis 34th. He just went for a spin moments ago. And then Brad Perez 35th. Chris Wright 36th. Kyle Sieg 37th. Jesse Love out of the race 38th. You heard from him moments ago. Sounds like the track bar might have broken on the rear of his race car. He didn't describe it quite well. He just said the rear end was broken in half, but wasn't in specifics as to what it was. Over the broadcast, Parker Kligerman stated during his lengthy pit stop that it may have been the track bar, but we haven't gotten an official word from, a reliable source on the race team as to exactly what it was that broke, but obviously something in the rear end had snapped in half for Jesse Love. So he's out, and he's the only car off the lead lap entirely. Only caution so far was the lap 20 stage break, 5 lead changes. Most of them just between the 88 and the 9, and then the green flag pit stop sequence where Sam Mayer took the lead and was able to win stage 1. We'll see who's going to stay out to get stage points at the end of stage 2, as that will be coming in about another 12 to 13 laps. You're listening live on KRC. We'll take another break as NASCAR Xfinity Series race coverage at Sonoma continues. Yeah, they used to use the sponsors on the announcer side of things more often back in the day, but I think it was a lot easier to indicate what car was what because you pretty much only had one sponsor throughout the course of the season. Now a sponsorship's changing on a pretty weekly basis. Not as much in the Xfinity Series because the pricing is a little bit different, but you see a lot of different sponsors, for instance, on pretty much every Cup car. Very few have full-time sponsorships with one specific team or most of the races with one specific team throughout the course of the year. So not having that as an identifier, I mean, you really have the number that is obviously a constant and the driver, which is the constant. So it's easier to describe to fans that are watching every week. Casual fan that might only watch once in a while, that could be something to help them indicate because they're not following the sport every single week, but I think there's just too much change to kind of follow along on that on a week-to-week basis, at least when it comes down to like announcers and commentary.
Changes we saw in terms of giving the 9 cars more lateral grip have worked because he's able to get a bit of separation there from Connor Zillage, but they're only about half a second apart. That's not a lot.
Looking at our scoring bumper, it's been a Junior Motorsports day, right? And all their cars performing. We talk about the top 2, but all guys up there. We've seen Sammy Smith, Carson Quapple here. Joe Gibbs Racing is having a pretty good day as well. Mitch Williams Sawalich third in a running order, but 3 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas inside the top 10. And now we get an update on Christian Eckes. Had to pit earlier than they wanted. They're back again here in stage 2, Dylan.
And it's the same problem. It's a left rear tire that is coming apart once again on the 16th. So they are definitely way off sequence, but a bigger problem than that is they've had issues with the same tire here in the first half of this race.
That is really weird. It's no other way to put it. I know Goodyear brought a new tire to Sonoma. It's sort of new construction because the road course tire they've used the last couple of years did have some occasional issues with delamination and blisters. We saw a photo of what Chris Eckes' first lap per tire looked like, a mix of either a blister or delamination, where the rubber starts to peel off the tire like an orange peel a little bit. And to have that happen twice, so obviously that can occasionally be sort of a setup or a driver issue, but to have that level of tire issue back to back, not that that's going on.
Guys, we were talking about the strategy before we had the completion of stage 1. Sam Mayer clearly looked like the third best car. And since the start of stage 2, I don't think he's gone anywhere.
No.
You'd be right. He's barely moved up at all. He's been sort of stalled out in that, I think it was 14th, and it's got to 12th now. So really stalled out.
Someone who's been on the move today is Taylor Gray. And you think about the disaster points Chicago, and this is a team that had been performing really well lately. Had an engine problem, had to start in the back today. But they have slowly, methodically worked their way up, and he's now up 17th in the running order. And when you talk about, Taylor Gray and everything that's happening around the cut line, every position is a point, and we know how tight this thing can be once we reach the end of the regular season in September. You got to go get it. And you see the points as they run. Came in 8 above the cut line, now plus lot 5 over Harrisonburg.
He's right ahead of the other yellow-black car there, Jeff Burke, right now. They're kind of mixed up. That was easy. I was trying to pay attention about those cars.
They're connected at the cut line.
It's like exactly when they decide to just paint their cars exactly the same.
Hey, and 27 times 2 is 54. So,
My goodness, did you just do that math? I am blown away.
I
You know that emoji? Boom.
more math coming up. We're talking strategy when we return.
I feel like there's been an awfully lot of commercials for the CW today. I'm going to guess that they're front-loading the commercial breaks so there isn't as many in Stage 3, but there's been quite a few. Appreciate you guys staying tuned in and tuning in maybe for the first time. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done so yet. Our like goal was 100 likes for the stream today, and we are currently at 63, but we have more than 200 people in the chat. So be sure to hit the like button. It helps these streams out a ton. It helps grow the channel. Subscribe for more NASCAR content. We have daily NASCAR content on the channel, including live commentary streams like this every NASCAR race weekend, where Cup, Xfinity, Truck, as well as Cup practice and qualifying streams, other related content. NASCAR 25 coming out here in a couple months. So if you like video games or NASCAR video games, we'll have some of that for you on the channel when that comes around. And just kind of wrapping up some older NASCAR video game stuff, so that way when that ends up coming up, it'll be full NASCAR 25 during the week and real NASCAR racing on the weekend. Kind of basically what we have, again, on a daily with the channel. Base Tugboat 2675, thanks for tuning in. M. Edmonds, thanks for tuning in also. Shout out to Seriously America also. I saw him in the chat earlier. Still a Shane Van Gisbergen and Connor Zilic getaway at the front of the field right now. It does seem like Zilic has closed his gap just a bit to Shane Van Gisbergen. Not going to say that SVG was necessarily slipping away from him, but the 88's in hot pursuit. Got out of turn 10 really well. Set up for turn 11. Great corner there. He's all over the back of the 9. Not the first time, probably won't be the last. These two are going to be this tight to one another throughout the course of the race today. We still have 9 laps to go, though, in Stage 1. Top 10 in the intervals between them at the moment have Shane Van Gisbergen out ahead by 1/10 of a second over Connor Zilic. 6 seconds back to William Sawalich in third. Austin Hill 8.5 seconds off the lead in fourth. Nick Sanchez 9.3 seconds off the lead in fifth. Justin Allgaier's 10.7 seconds off the lead in sixth. Riley Herbst in seventh, 11.7 seconds back. 12.9 seconds off the lead is Brandon Jones in eighth. Sheldon Craig 14.8 seconds off the lead in ninth. Sammy Smith rounds out the top 10, 15.6 seconds back. I hate that I was reading off the top 10 because there was a pass for the lead in the midst of that. I apologize for that, but I also wanted to get through the top 10 at the moment of reading it. But Connor Zilic in turn 3 was able to complete the pass after pulling alongside Shane Van Gisbergen through the carousel out of turn 2. And Zilic is losing a lot of time. Or sorry, Shane Van Gisbergen losing a lot of time to Zilic after Zilic had made a pass for the lead. So you wonder if something may be happening to the 9 mechanically, because he is losing a lot of time. He's 1 second back already. He just got past the last time by.
Heading toward the end of stage 2, Sonoma, California, CW Sports bringing you the Pit Boss FoodMaxx 250. Connor Zilch back in the race lead. Shane Van Gisbergen to second. The duo from Junior Motorsports is combined to lead 32 of 37 laps today. And the only laps they didn't lead is when they made their pit stops flipping stage 1. Alex LeMay making an unscheduled stop here. You see some smoke, and that thing's not where it needs to be.
We heard it from Jesse Love, a broken rear end, and this looks just similar to maybe a broken track bar out, potentially.
Yeah, something going on back there. You see the axles or the rear ends fall out as soon as.
Just got confirmation on the radio. It is a track bar issue. By the way, the owner, Bobby Dodd.
Right off.
Second track bar problem.
So,
That happens a lot, by the way.
well, I was just going to wish happy birthday to Bobby Dodd. SS Greenlight race, been so good in series. Chris Wright having a problem here. One caution today. It was for the straight stage where we're having a few things happen that could make you think, we might get a yellow here. 8 to go. Brad Perez, the 45.
And just to go tick deeper into Alex LeMay's issue, Mr. You and I were just talking about some of the curves here since they repaved this place have become really aggressive and they really shock the race car when you hit them. That's part of the risk of using too much curb. Is these cars are still pretty delicate race cars. They may be 3,400-pound behemoths, but they don't like getting into those curves too hard. And that's what can happen similar to happen to Alex LeMay.
Here's the pass for the lead as Zilich and Shane Van Gisbergen continue to pass it back and forth. That was weird for all of us watching.
Yeah, he let him go there. That. Not sure why. Do we have any radio on that?
What's up with that pass, Kim?
Yeah, we do have some radio. Take a listen to what Shane said about the car.
Try to hide around the red. Red.
So you heard him talk about the rears dying out this front. They'll look to make it better in the right-handers. And then I wouldn't say he was frustrated after that, but he did ask his team more than once, 2 or 3 times, what is our tire pressure compared to the 88? He again asked multiple times. He finally got an answer. Quick say telling him very similar, but we're about 1 pound less in the left rear.
Well, that shows you his feel because I believe, Kim, earlier in the race, you mentioned how he had felt like the left rear was low on air pressure to start the race. He knew that. It's obviously been compared to the 88. And that's one thing that you'll talk about with a stock car on a road course, especially these Xfinity Series cars, is keeping the rear tires on them. That's where you start to lose drive off, you lose speed, you lose the ability to put the throttle down. The car doesn't want to change direction as well, and it just saps speed. Longevity on a road course in terms of speed in a stock car is about keeping the rear tires on it.
Find it interesting that he is asking about the setup changes. So there are really 2 different kinds of drivers. You have a guy that doesn't know anything about the race car and is just going to give the team feedback and let the team make their decisions. But Shane, after talking to him and listening to him, he's definitely the guy that's more in tune with what's going on. He's asking what they're doing to the car, and he clearly knows a thing or two about getting his car dialed in. And he can provide really good feedback for that.
Which one did you say you are?
I am hands off.
All right,
I put all of the trust in my team. Let them make the decisions, and I'll tell them what I'm feeling.
Well, your guy on the pit box, he's got a decent
I've got
track
pretty
record.
good.
of
Pretty smart. Yeah, I've seen him win a fair amount of races.
You're right there with Sheldon Creed, where 5 laps to go on stage. And so we reached that window where drivers could make a pit stop to flip it. Now, the one thing I'll say, you flip stage 2, you're right on the edge of that fuel window. So some question marks of who will run it long, who will flip it, but some stage points out there to be had. And that's why I referenced Sheldon Creed when I said that. Toyota onboard camera riding with the rookie Dean Thompson.
It does put you in a really tight position if you do flip this stage. And I'm just sort of looking at where Zilch and Van Gisbergen are compared to the rest of the field. If they can get as large a gap as they had in the first stage, where they're able to pit and basically come out in 9th and 11th, and not, have given up too much track position whatsoever. So I wonder, if that was a possibility here. But I think when you look at the field situation, to make sure, you probably want to go to stage 2.
When you talk about flipping it and needing cautions, in the final stage to get home on full. This race doesn't feel like you're going to get caught, right? That can be the kiss of death. Hey, Will Rogers in the race, driving the 70 for Koch Family Racing. He won an ARCA West race here a few years ago, making his first start of the season. He's a spot for Eric Jones on Sundays. Eric is helping spot for him today. So
That is really great.
So for these two, and I would also say the West Coast Conference is on this car along with Brett Holland. And this is a good organization. Stu Jackson is the commissioner of the West Coast Conference. He's here this weekend. So, it's just a very good effort to put Will on track and back in the Xfinity Series. Very talented race car driver.
My previous spotter, Stevie Reeves, and we talked about doing that, the driver spotter swap for the ARCA race at Daytona a couple years ago. And Will and Eric are getting to live that out today. Would you be scared to spot? I would be terrified.
That's how
Especially at Daytona.
I don't want that responsibility. I'll stick behind the wheel. I would also just like to say,
If you want to see what your front end looks like, it's all over the TV. Yeah, platform looks pretty good.
they're watching our coverage as well.
Wanted to Sage Karen, someone that pops up on the leaderboard. Seems like every time he comes and races in the Xfinity Series. Gonna call today.
Had good speed at Chicago. Unfortunately, had an engine failure in practice qualifying, and then now has had a transmission issue here in Sonoma. Had great speed yesterday for those cars. Always has great speeds. We see the 21 Austin Hill on pit road. Dylan, looks like they are taking the risk to fill the stage.
They are, and it's been a challenging weekend for them. Didn't have the car they wanted yesterday, and it's been a work in progress again today to get the balance right. Austin just said he wants more to lean on at the back of the car, mainly in the right rear. There's the chassis wrench in the window, 4 tires of fuel, Kim.
Here, the 19 of Riley Burks and talked to crew chief Seth Chaka. Remember, he led the charge for tied hits last year in this race. Thought he had the best car. They did not short pit last year. Seth told me he felt like the winning strategy was short pitting, so you're seeing that here now. Riley's saying chattering the rears just slightly.
Burks making his third start of the year, top 5 in Texas, also ran Coda. Corey Day, who was caught speeding last time, tried to flip the stage, is in here in the 17. And now the question becomes, what do the 88 and the 9 do? And the answer is pit, flip the stage. And as they come in, they'll close pit road with 2 laps. Well, here's the race leader, Dylan.
And Zilich is the second pit box in on pit road here, so he'll hit his marks right away. Been pretty happy with his race car. The changes they made at the end of stage 1 were positive, and Connor said the car changes directions really well. We're really close to the 9, though, so not sure what more they need, Ken.
See the 9 at SVG on the right hand of your screen. We played that radio earlier. Him saying the balance was better. He just felt like the rears died out. Was very but his tire pressure, specifically on left rear compared to the 88, they will make a slight adjustment to give him a little bit more stability. Again, the right-handers are Shane's biggest concern, so we'll see them finish up their service right here. They take fresh tires and Sunoco fuel. Also in, we have the 41 of Sam Baker. Remember, that stage 1 winner. Again, complaining of lack of air grip like most of the fuel.
Sawallich also came down, as did Nick Sanchez, a couple of rookies flipping the stage. And you saw while Kim was talking, 88 of Connor Zilich does get off the pit lane under green in front of the 9 of Shane Van Gisbergen. Not as significant, right now when you look at the running, but it will be big. We get ready to begin that final stage and everything cycles through. Brandon Jones is on point. June was a good month to him as far as winning stages and in position to do it again. Got the veteran and reigning champ right behind him, Justin Allgaier. Sheldon Creed going to get a ton of stage points today. Took advantage last week at Chicago. Came in even, went the cut line, went to plus 30, and he's running 4th right now. So a real good opportunity for him to exit Sonoma with a great points day. California driver. One to go to the stage.
Well, I was going to say, he's been working on his road course craft for years now. And I feel like this weekend really looked like a highlight for him. Road course speed, just what you saw practice, qualifying. And it's always nice, no matter how you do it, to be in the lead of a stage.
Yeah, great pass here by Brandon into turn 4. And of course, the issue. That's a big spot, too. That's a playoff point on the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you have a win, right? I mean, you just want to attack and build more of that insurance policy for the playoffs. Into that long winless streak at Darlington. Did Brandon Jones, the driver out of Atlanta, first year back with Joe Gibbs Racing. In fact, the only team he's ever won for is JGR. Spent time, at RCR, with Junior Motorsports, but he has found the sweet spot driving those Toyotas for the coach, and it's been a good season for him with Sam McCauley on the box.
Yeah, super impressive run here. I know he's been working really hard at the road courses to try and improve his performance, and he's going to get out of here with a lot of stage points and a playoff ball.
We turn 11, final time in stage 2. Brandon Jones can always find his car on track. The fluorescent number 20, third stage win of the campaign, and they've all come in the last 4 races. Allgaier comes in, regular season points leader, gets some nice points here. Sammy Smith, Creed, Quapple complete the top 5. Creed and Quapple really needed him. We'll get pit stops when we return to Sonoma, California.
Well, you heard it right there on the broadcast. Third stage win of the season for Brandon Jones, all in the last 4 races. Brandon Jones about a second or so ahead of Allgaier at the end of the stage. So it picks up another playoff point, 10 points towards the regular season standings. Our current points leader, Justin Allgaier, finishes second in stage 2. Sammy Smith third, Sheldon Creed fourth, Carson Quapple fifth. Then Blaine Perkins in 6th, Connor Zillich 7th, Jeb Burt 8th, Will Rogers 9th, and Ryan Sieg rounds out the top 10. Shane Van Gisbergen was 12th. But yeah, Connor Zillich pretty much beat Shane Van Gisbergen in stage 1. SVG, I'd say, pretty much beat Connor Zillich in stage... Or sorry, I had that backwards. Stage 1 was pretty much won by Shane Van Gisbergen in the head-to-head battle between himself and Connor Zillich. Stage 2, Zillich had the upper hand. So now it's time for round number 3, the tiebreaker round, and for all the marbles, if it will be between the 88 and the 9 once again. Very high probability that that will be the case. 34 laps in this third and final stage today. We're just over an hour into the race. 46 laps complete out of 79. 8 lead changes. We're going to see another one here very soon with pit stops upcoming. And that will give the lead to Connor Zillich for the next restart. Going to be tight on fuel to the end of the race for those that pitted before the end of the stage. But I'd like to think they should be able to make it. For some reason, we go past the scheduled distance. On top of not getting any yellows up until that point, that would probably be the only way where I can see a scenario where we see guys running out of gas. But as long as these teams got their fuel tanks full of fuel during their more recent pit stops, whether that was at the end of the stage or during the stage break itself, as we're going to see a lot of others pit, they should be good on gas to the end of the race. Matt and Steve, thanks for tuning in. Shout outs to a few others that I saw in the chat for the first time later in stage 2. Gaming Fishy 1927. Of course, racing is a driver. I mean, I'd say you can... The driver makes a difference on road courses, but it depends on what kind of oval you're talking. I mean, there are certain ovals where equipment is probably going to matter more than the driver itself. A lot of the higher speed ovals that aren't very technical. Track position with this generation of Cup car going to matter maybe a lot more, where the driver can't make much of a difference on the short tracks because everybody's running about the same speed. There's not enough margin from top to bottom in the field to be able to have the driver make up the distances that they would have beforehand. It's just a different skill set. Some drivers are better at certain types of tracks than others. Always been that way. We've seen the 88 and the 9 go back and forth with one another a couple times already today. And it is time for stage number 3. Pit road did not open that time, I don't believe.
Yes, they could give them those ones back unless it's a little practical and say I don't want any more. But that's you want to keep those.
How about Zilich flips both stages and still got 6 stage points? He finished 9th in stage 1 and was back to 7th in stage 2. And the other thing we noticed is just how easy Van Gisbergen was on his race car after he made the pit stop. Nothing on the line for him. And I'm not saying there's a lot on the line for Zilich, right?
Dirt road course.
You're not chasing points, and you know the 88's in front of you there. Just let him go, live to fight another day.
Right, you had a couple drivers like Austin Hill and Nick Sanchez who were actually clutching and coasting up the hill here in front of us outside our commentary box, saving fuel towards the after they flipped the stage and just trying to take care of the tires in that race car to be ready for this restart. So a couple drivers employing that strategy of knowing that a lot of these cars ahead of them are going to have to pit. Therefore, they'll get that transition, just take care of the race car the best you can on those couple of those green flag laps. So it's the best position it can be for the restart.
Outside the commentary box, that's very European.
Now, well, we're at Sonoma, wine country. I thought, Formula One-esque.
So never ceases to amaze me, that Parker Kligerman. This Tuesday on NXT, it's an epic triple threat for who will rule the Angelo family. Tony versus Stacks versus Luca Crucifito. The fate of the family is at stake. Don't miss. It's all new NXT Tuesday, 8/7 Central. It's right here on the CW. Here's Dylan Welch.
Well, let's talk a little bit of strategy. And one thing that everybody has on their mind right now is fuel save. So even the cars that are going to pit here at the end of this stage are concerned about making it to the end of the race. The 17, Justin Allgaier, is one of those. Jim Pullman said, as soon as you leave the pit box, I need you to be in max save. And then Marty Lindley on the 88 of Zilich, who did flip that stage, said, our numbers have gotten worse, so we have to be really, really careful here over the course of this final stage. They pitted, obviously, in a couple laps before these cars that are set to pit. So it's going to be interesting to see who does that well, and I think it's going to come right down to the wire to figure it out, Kim.
And Dylan, we heard the fixation from SVG about where his tire pressures were compared to the 88 after the last stop. The adjustment that was made, here's what Corey Shader, crew chief, told his driver.
The micro tire actually this is hold on better, like it might have popped out by the time you just know, and I feel confident that this is hold on really well.
You know, I'm happy for Corey Shea, the crew chief. He's won twice this year, one with Daniel Suarez in Mexico City, and last week with Shane Van Gisbergen in Chicago. Progressive Pit Road is open. Brandon Jones lead them down, Dylan.
Sammy Smith will peel off right here in the 8 car. Great stage points for them today, which was their goal. The car was way better. They've gotten it better with every pit stop, but Sammy just wants a little bit more rear grip. We'll do that with the chassis adjustment. Same for Justin Allgaier, said he wants 50% more forward drive than he has right now. He'll make some adjustments. And again, as we said, max fuel save for the 7 from here on out, Kim.
Well, Brendan Jones, Road Course Racing, has been struggling in the correct direction. To Christopher's point, Brandon's been working diligently with Blake Cook and Trevor Blaine on his road course craft. In terms of the car, he said barely had more grip after the last change, and that last change, in fact, hurt their front turn, so they'll have to go back a little bit on their last adjustments.
13 drivers flipped the stage, so the race off Progressive Pit Road will be for a restart position outside the top 10. Jones holds serve. Creed's team delivering again. He goes +2. The restart when we come back to Sonoma.
All right, we should have a little less than 30 laps to go on the next restart as we'll begin the green flag portion of Stage 3. The only 2 cautions today were the stage breaks at lap 20 and lap 45. As we have reached the end of Stage 2, what we usually do here on the channel is we do 2 things. We do a diecast showing, we close out the chat poll for who I asked of you guys who you thought was going to win the race today. 181 votes were casted. 64% of you took SVG for the race win. Connor Zilich second in our chat poll at 20%. He's putting up a great fight with Van Gisbergen today. Other than SVG, Zilich, or Allgaier at 10% of the votes, 6% took Justin Allgaier. Again, 181 votes were casted, so appreciate you guys voting in that chat poll. The like counter, we're at 81 likes right now on our goal to get to 100, and we have almost 300 people concurrently watching. So be sure to hit that like button. Again, it helps this stream out a ton. It helps the channel out a ton with engagement to new NASCAR viewers as we grow the channel. I think we'll be able to hit 6,500 subs this weekend. I was only 41 shy coming into today. Yeah, we're getting close. We got 29 to go to get to 6,500. So be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done so, like I said already, and then subscribe for NASCAR content like this. Our live commentary stream for the Cup Series tomorrow will begin at 3 p.m. Eastern with our pre-race. We'll do some NASCAR trivia as we usually do on our pre-race shows. We highlight the Fantasy League, who I think is going to run well, not run well for the race specifically. We'll highlight the in-season tournament challenge as we are down to the final 8. Quarterfinal matchups. We'll go over each head-to-head matchup there, and that'll take us closer to the start of the race. We'll end up having the starting lineup, season in review up to this point, how the point standings are shaping up. It's not only tight on the bubble battle to get into the playoffs, but it's very tight atop the regular season championship battle. 5 drivers within 48 points of one another. You could score 61 points in a full race. Our diecast showing for today, for no particular reason, I'm deciding to show off my Johnny Sauter 2004. I believe 2004. Yeah, 2004 AOL number 30 car diecast. I should have known it was 2004 by the Nextel Cup logo on there, but I remember Johnny Sauter also driving this car in 2004. But yeah, it's got the autograph on the windshield, one of the few autograph diecasts that I have. I really like this paint scheme. Honestly, it was one of my favorites from my youth years of watching NASCAR. It always popped really well. This version of the AOL scheme specifically is the one that I like the most. There have been some others that had more white and red in it, but I went for this one. This is the one that I wanted to buy, so when I saw this version of the diecast, wherever I ended up buying this one at, probably Bristol, because I bought most of mine at Bristol, but whatever track I bought it at, that would be the reason why I got that one specifically. Jeff Green did drive the number 30 as well. I don't believe that it does have Johnny Sauter on the car. Now, if that's a Jeff Green autograph on a Johnny Sauter car, then I don't know. It is Johnny Sauter, though. Yeah, 2004. Jeff Green drove this car in 2003. And then he got traded mid-season with Steve Park. Steve Park actually finished the 2003 season in the 1. Kind of a ride swap like we saw last year with Corey LaJoie and Justin Haley in the Cup Series. Yeah, I really like that paint scheme, though. Yeah, for my childhood years of watching NASCAR, that was one of my favorites for whatever reason. I always like the blue and yellow schemes. I'm a Michigan Wolverines fan. That probably has a lot to do with it, but they just pop well.
But 3, Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas in the top 10. Christopher and Josh Williams, we haven't talked about today in the top 10, having a day in the 11.
It's a great run for Josh Williams. I know he's been working at the road course Craftsman a lot of time. The simulator. We learned that from AJ Allmendinger last week at Chicago. So good to see all that work having some good results here. So we head into the third stage.
Raylan Gray from the back with the engine change into the top 10 for the final stage. Harrison Burton, top 10. Corey Day back from a penalty. Anthony Alfredo is in the top 12. By the way, Austin Green had a penalty in their green flag cycle stop, so he'll start here.
Paulie67, Wade, thanks for tuning into the stream here recently as well. We're going to have 29 laps to go in stage 3 as we're about to get back to racing. No cautions for incident to this point. Connor Zilich and Shane Van Gisbergen in front row for the 3rd time on a restart. Green flag is in the air. Zilich going to have the advantage with the line he chose to restart in. As they get to turn 2, he'll have the inside lane. But he didn't get great corner exit speed. A drive off from the curbing on the inside really hurt him. Had the inside again through turn 3, and that will stay the same into turns 4 and 7. Mostly right-handed turns on this road course. Shane Van Gisbergen down on the left rear corner panel of the 88. And they've been side by side the entire restart so far. Bounce off the curb on the exit of turn 7 caused a bit of a hiccup for Shane Van Gisbergen. And he finally loses the battle for the race lead. William Sawalich was close enough behind the top two that were running side by side for the first half of that lap, and Sawalich is now in second. Quiet, good day for William Sawalich. Probably his best run of the season to this point. It's been an abysmal rookie campaign at JGR for William. He's outside the top 20 of points, only a few top 10s on the year. Quite a few DNFs. I believe he leads the series in DNFs. But he's been top 5 the whole day today. He did not go for stage points in either one of these two stages, so he's been able to stay out with the leaders. He's well outside the cutoff line. He's not going to be able to point his way in. He needs a win. And maybe SVG and Connor Zilic take each other out late going for a win, and Sawalich could be in third to steal. Right now, he's not giving up second place to Shane Van Gisbergen, but I don't think SVG is going to wait around too long to try to make the pass on the 18. Sawalich did a great job, though, getting into turn 7 that last time by. It actually looked like he gained ground on the race leader of Zilic in front of him. Sam Mayer gets by Austin Hill for 4th, and Mayer was very quick back in the opening stage. It took him a bit to get through lap traffic. Not lap traffic, but traffic in general in stage 2. Now Mayer playing defense on Austin Hill in the 21 car for 4th. Hill put the bumper to the back of the 41, and they're back to being side by side again out of turn 11 into 12. And back across the start-finish line, and if they stay side by side up the hill into turn 2, Hill will have the advantage on the bottom lane there. But turn 1, it looks like Sam Mayer's barely able to pull clear. No, he tried to pull to the bottom. Gets a good drive off anyway on the outside line out of turn 2 still. And Mayer clears Austin Hill. So Shane Van Gisbergen still has the fastest lap of the race. I was back on lap 32. And the couple of green flag laps that have been ran so far in stage 3, nobody in at least the top 5 positions have run their fastest laps yet. And that's pretty much the same for everybody throughout the field. This car's starting to get maybe a little bit more spaced out. We'll see if that'll change. Half a second lead between Zilic and Van Gisbergen as SVG in turn 7 that last time by was able to get back past William Sawalich for second place. A lot of damage to the nose of the 16 car, Christian Eckes. He's got some smoke coming out of the race car as well. I'm not sure if that's a tire. It is a tire rub. Right front tire down for Eckes. And he probably can't turn the race car. Others are trying to miss him. He's going to have to limp his car to pit road. Not sure where he got the damage from. I'm sure we'll see a replay. But he's out of harm's way. Everybody trying to dodge him through turn 10. We do stay green. So luckily Eckes was able to get back to pit road. I don't know that he's going to be able to continue, though, because that is quite a bit of damage to the nose of the race car. Even if they end up putting a new right front tire on it, and the whole front end is caved in, I would imagine there's got to be some sort of radiator damage. So whoever he hit's definitely got severe damage to the back of the race car. And I would imagine that probably came in turn 7, considering he didn't get to 11 yet. Probably had a stack up. But until we see a replay, can't confirm it. 25 laps to go this time by. The gap between first and second is about 0.8 of a second, with Connor Zilic in the lead and Shane Van Gisbergen trying to press from second. So Walsh is still tight behind the 9 car of Van Gisbergen after he had made the pass for second. And now they're showing a replay of what happened to Christian Eckes. So Ryan Sieg got contacted from behind. Okay, well, that wasn't a great show of what happened there. I got an ant on my leg. Sneaky. He's dead now. We're all good. It's okay. It's okay. I'm safe. Thank you for asking. All right. I don't know what happened there. I missed the first replay. I should say I saw the first replay, but I didn't see what happened in the incident. It looked like Ryan Sieg got hit from behind. Not by Christian Eckes, by another car. And that caused a stack up when the 39 was sideways. He ended up making a save by basically bouncing it off the car to his outside. And yeah, I would just assume that somebody brake checked, assuming there was going to be a wreck in front of them, and that's what caused Eckes to run into the back of whoever he ran into the back of. It was tough for me to tell who's in the 18 Sawalich. William Sawalich is in the 18 car. Rookie. You got a rookie in first and third and fifth. Nick Sanchez is up to fifth. 3 rookies in the top 5. Last lap, Shane Van Gisbergen was a little bit more than 1/10 of a second quicker than our leader, Connor Zilisch. Zilisch had a 78.29 Ford, so SVG 78.132. And Sawalich was actually even quicker than Connor Zilisch the last lap as well with a 78.234, or 235, excuse me. And Mayer. Mayer was also quicker. So second, third, and fourth were quicker than the leader the last lap. Nobody is running their fastest times of the race for the most part. Sam Mayer actually at lap 54 2 laps ago set his fastest lap of the race. 77.69. Still like 7/10 of a second off the fastest lap that both SVG and Connor Zilisch ran. I think everybody's putting together some really good lap times on these front 4 or 5 cars. If it goes green to the end of this final stage, it would be the longest green flag run of the day, 29 laps. Previous most would have been the 20 lap stage 1, stage 2 under green. And SVG over the radio mentioned that it felt like he burned off the left rear tire during the last run, which is what allowed for Zilisch to create a pathway for himself to making a pass. So although there is to cause any sort of extra wear than maybe other drivers around you, and Shane Van Gisbergen going to try to do a better job of handling that. There were some air pressure adjustments that were made to the 9 team during their last pit stop to try to help mitigate the tire fall off in the left rear specifically, is where Van Gisbergen was radioing into his crew that he thought that is about where the problem was. It's just an ant. Yeah, I know. I was purposely overreacting for the comedy side of it. I've had a lot of carpenter ants in my house for about the last like 3 or 4 weeks, and I don't know what the issue is. It's honestly probably been more than 3 or 4 weeks. It's been a long time. It's like an ant or 2 a day I kill in this very room. But because I'm streaming, I don't see them until they start crawling on me. So I just get this sensation that something's crawling on me, and then I like look, and sometimes there is something there, and sometimes there isn't because I've had so many ants crawling me in the last couple of weeks. There was one that was crawling on my shoulder while I was sleeping like a couple weeks ago. That creeped me out. Just woke up and felt something crawling on me. That's never fun either. Like, I could see that if I was camping outside in a tent, but I was in the comfort of my own bed. 21 laps to go this time by. Zilisch leads Shane Van Gisbergen still. The deficit is about a half a second as Van Gisbergen just slowly, and I mean slowly, closes and puts pressure on this 88. These two have put on a masterclass today, and really no one has had more of an edge over the other. I'd say Zilisch has probably gotten better from where he was earlier in the race, but we look at the laps led side of things. Zilisch has only led one more lap than Shane Van Gisbergen today, 25 to 24. They've each led the most laps in the race. Helping me remodel? Maybe they're helping me remodel. Yeah, I don't know. Those first two corners right around turn 8 and turn 8A in the S's, Shane Van Gisbergen closed this time on Zilich. Curious to see what the lap time difference is going to be at the line. The last time Zilich was about 2/10 slower in second place. He was quicker than both Sawalich and Mayer in third and fourth. So we're kind of getting to that point where these top two are slowly starting to get away from everybody else. Sawalich is now about 1.6 seconds off the lead, 3.5 seconds back for Sam Mayer. And actually, Nick Sanchez is battling Mayer for fourth. So Mayer is definitely losing time to the three cars in front of him. Still Joe, thanks for tuning in. Lisa Jones, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I'm not really scared of like insects. Snakes? That's my fear. I don't want to get too into detail, but basically at my old house I grew up at, we had a lot of snakes in the backyard. There was like a woodsy area in the back. So, you know, I'm just playing around as a kid trying to do little kid things all the time, and there were just snakes everywhere. Freak me out, so whenever I see a snake to this day, I get that chill down my spine. No thank you. Taylor Gray getting beaten off of his traditional racing line. Turn 7, he got passed by Justin Allgaier. Austin Hill kind of sideswiped him getting through the S's just because that's a tight area of the track to run side by side. The consecutive twisting back and forth corners. And that forced him to lose yet another spot. Gray looking to get back at Austin Hill, though. Maybe puts the bumper to that right rear just gradually. And he was able to sneak back underneath him yet again. Gray had a pretty good run in Chicago last week and a great run here this week, quietly moving his way through the field in the top 10. And he has now been side by side with Austin Hill from turn 11 on the last lap all the way till about turn 4. Now into turn 4A. And they're still door to door. Now Harrison Burton in the 25 is tight behind both cars. And if Hill doesn't get sorted out pretty quickly here, he could lose a spot to Burton in turn 7. Corey Day, Carson Kvapil also battling for position just behind them. Corey Day methodically moving his way through the field. He's up to 11th after starting 25th. I believe this is his road course debut in any of the top 3 series in NASCAR. So a top 10 run would be great for him as he just slowly improves. He was struggling to get to finish in races in both the truck and Xfinity side. But now the last few starts, we have seen him in the NASCAR ranks competing for top 5s, top 10s. He had a top 5 in his last truck start. Maybe seeing more of him in the future. Just got bumped out of line in turn 11 by Carson Kvapil. Might be showing a little bit more pace. He was trying to make a pass on him earlier. Day widens out the line. A little bit of contact with Kvapil right at about the start-finish line. Be careful not to ruffle too many feathers back here. I was just talking about him having a good day so far after starting deep in the field. You don't want to throw that away because of irritating another driver. We'll go through the full field running order here with 18 laps to go. They are on a side-by-side commercial break. Connor Zilich is the race leader. Shane Van Gisbergen second. William Sawalich third. Nick Sanchez fourth. And Sam Mayer rounds out the top 5 in fifth. And Riley Herbst is in sixth. I almost forgot he was really in the race today. Another Cup regular in the field, but sixth place for Riley. Justin Allgaier in seventh. Taylor Gray eighth. Austin Hill ninth. Harrison Burton in 10th. Corey Day 11th. Carson Kvapil 12th. Brandon Jones 13th. Sammy Smith 14th. Sheldon Creed is 15th. Anthony Alfredo 16th, Josh Williams 17th, Blaine Perkins 18th, Josh Bilicki 19th, and Dean Thompson 20th. 21st, Austin Green, Jeb Burton 22nd, Brendan Poole 23rd, Will Rogers 24th, Jeremy Clements 25th, Kyle Sieg 26th, Chris Wright 27th, Matt DiBenedetto 28th, Ryan Ells 29th, Daniel Dye 30th, Parker Retzlaff 31st, Brad Perez 32nd, Connor Mosack 33rd is the last car in the lead lap. And Christian Eckes 3 laps down is still in the race, but with significant damage. Ryan Sieg, same thing for him. Damage, same incident on track, which we stayed green at here in stage 3. He is 35th, 3 laps down. Then Sage Karam, Alex LeBay, and Jesse Love all out of the race. Karam had maybe an engine issue, something of that nature. Last stage, pulled off track. Alex Obey, Jesse Love, track bar breaks for them, causing their retirement from the event. Can Zilic hold on as we're just about halfway through stage 3, 17 laps to go. You're listening live on KRC. We'll take a break. Sure to like, subscribe as more action continues here for the NASCAR Xfinity Series Pit Boss FoodMaxx 250.
Live once again, Sonoma, California, NASCAR Xfinity Series racing on a Saturday afternoon on CW. 17 laps to go. Connor Zilic leading this thing. He's led 29, now 30 laps today. That's the close. The guy behind him on track has led 24. But you do get the feeling now with 16 remaining that this is the calm before the storm, because everyone knows they got to take care of the fuel tank, want to take care of those tires. Going to be the longest green flag run of the day if we don't get a caution. But eventually things are going to ramp up. You have to believe. What about the race leader, Dylan?
Yeah, and I think that's the message that is trying to be conveyed as well to Connor Zilic about Shane Van Gisbergen. This was the recent radio from Marty Lindley to his team about these next 15 laps.
The nine's trying to push us to where because he feels like his car's no good. So we just got to manage our safe fuel. That's all I'm worried about. I'm worried about fuel, not a...
And that's the good thing and important thing to note. As much as the 9 wants to win, if he runs out of fuel, it doesn't really matter. He's not full-time Xfinity. The point situation doesn't matter. The 88 car obviously is in the thick of the points fight. They've got to just make sure that they finish, whether they win or not. Yeah.
And 18 of Williams Sawallich currently running in that third position. We talked about that ARCO win yesterday, and the team told me this morning he's in a good mood, and 50% of racing is all about the head game as well. This team just wants a solid day after the season that they've had. They also know that at minus 207 points in the playoff cut, they need a win. So he is in that catbird seat. If the gloves come off and we see Zilic and SVG take each other out, right now the team is reminding him to keep your ears on it. Was a little surprised that they short pitted before the end of stage 2, but they had him short shifting during the cautions before stage 3 for fuel mileage. They told him he's good on fuel, Carla. Road course racing, but he doesn't like tracks that have elevation changes like that at Sonoma. The good news for the 48, he's coming off his top 5 on the road course last weekend. His first win before that. Since the win in Atlanta already allowed his team to turn their attention to the playoffs. His team's already ordered new cars. They started those conversations. He said, I hate points racing, but don't worry. I'm focused on it right now to try and end the regular season in the best possible position. We saw the 48 flip the stage at the end of 2. We'll see if he can pick his 4th place finish at the end of this one, Adam.
Confidence on high, no doubt. Nick Sanchez, the driver from Miami, Florida, who won just about as early in his Xfinity career as he did in the Craftsman Truck Series. And you know what? I look at these rookies, 3 of them inside the top 4. That takes me back to your rookie year, Christopher, 2018. And if you combine your rookie season with your, Harrison Burton, big points up here.
That's tough. He was in 10.
That's all the indications. I might have contact when he turned 11.
He was running 10th.
Was it Corey Day?
Harrison.
Corey Day.
Gets a little bit of a push for Brandon Jones. And the innocent bystander recipient is Harrison Burton. Oh, that's devastating for where they are on the cut line.
Well, you know, this all ties together with what we were talking about in the rookie conversation. Harrison won 4 times as a rookie driving for Joe Gibbs Racing. I'll go back to what you did. I mean, 15 wins for you in your first 2 seasons in the Xfinity Series. And we're checking the points here. 17 points now separating Burton Cousins
That was a big
at the cut line. But take us back to 18 and 19 when you were running these cars for the first time and all the winning you were doing.
Yeah, it was a great time. A great time to be in the Xfinity Series for Joe Gibbs Racing. I had Jason Ratcliffe on top of the pit box, and we had great race cars. Really fortunate to be a part of that time. You never know when the strengths and weaknesses are going to come to the teams, and we've talked about how strong the junior motorsport cars are now, and it seems like the Joe Gibbs cars are just a little bit behind right now, which is unusual.
because I think that's the benchmark of the series consistently year after year has to be those Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas. When it comes to the speed department, obviously right now Junior Motorsports might have everyone covered. Doesn't matter what type of track, but they seem to right now. It reminds me of 2022 when the Junior Motorsports cars were really, really fast that season.
And I will say, credit to them. They've got some great drivers between Connor Zillage, Justin Allgaier, the veteran, and even the one, Carson Waffle. I mean, he's had great races this year, and I expect him to be in victory lane here very shortly.
Sammy Smith, Brandon Jones. Racing for his spot by Corey today. That's 12 bucks an hour. You know, we talked about Joe Gibbs Racing, and if you look at the bumper, 3 of them in the top 8 today with what Sawalich has done. Riley Hurts 5th, Taylor Gray from the back to 8. And then you go to Brandon Jones, just fell to 13th, but does have a stage win. So it's been a productive afternoon for the coaches' Toyotas on track as we hit 12 laps to go.
These two
Finding up here.
have condensed back together. It was almost 1.5 seconds was the gap. Shane has quickly in the last 2 laps erased that gap.
They're definitely pushing the pace now. We're within half a second of the fastest lap we've seen all day.
And it's funny, you can sort of note exactly how hard they're pushing, consider, seeing in the lap times, and you start to see it in the body language of the race cars as they go around the track, just a little bit more movement, a little bit more sliding. So you get closer to 10 to go. This is starting to definitely pick up.
Who has the advantage right now?
Well, I think it goes possibly to Shane if he really was saving, right? And trying to take care of those rear tires. He's talked about it throughout this race, how those have sort of given up on him late in the run. But the way he was able to race that gap in just 2 laps tells me there it does not look too good. My goodness. And he drops the left front. I've watched this all throughout this race. You see, he uses way more racetrack on the exit of 10 than anyone else here, and he does it lap after lap, where he actually drops the left front in the dirt on purpose and stays further to the left.
I think so just even had a little right front lock getting into turn 11 there.
I just go back to what Dylan said, his report, and I agree with everything he said. You know, if you're Zillage, you can't afford to run yourself out of fuel. You're in a points battle here. And he's been so great lately. If you think about the average finish since he came back from the injury, 2.6 in the last 6 races. And nothing to lose for the 9, right? SVG not running for points. He's here to get wins. But Zillage does not want to go second to the 9 2 weeks in a row. Carla?
Yeah, and Adam, we saw SVG give a thumbs up earlier to Zillage in this race. Connor actually had a post on the X earlier this week too, saying I'm something advantage. We see the 88 and the 9 teammates once again for JRM. But if you look back at the battle of last week, how hard fought that was. But these 2 guys are actually friends even before that, running the 24 hours of Daytona. They were on the same team, trying to get a win together. Connor said they got to know each other quite a bit there, created a really special friendship that, as we can tell from this race, and even after the hard-fought battle last week in Chicago, is still pretty strong.
And, not just teammates at Junior Motorsports, teammates at Trackhouse. And when you think about what Justin Marks has put together in Trackhouse and the success that they have enjoyed in the last couple of months, with Ross Chastain winning the Coke 600, the 2 Cup wins for Shane Van Gisbergen, what both Shane and Connor have done in the Xfinity Series. Justin doing a good job of finding the right combination and putting it together and coming from all different places.
Shane's pushing hard right now. Oh, yeah. I keep seeing his wheels are counter steering.
And I think Zillage is getting the message as he looked in his mirror in the last couple of laps. They dropped those lap times down almost in the 76-second bracket, which is close to their fastest laps of the race. So they seriously started to push here as we get closer to 10 to go, or 10 to go.
Look at those win percentages. I will also tell you that Shane Van Gisbergen at 57%. The only time he's ever finished outside the top 5 on the road in the Xfinity Series was last year at COTA, and they actually crossed the finish line second, but were penalized. And there's the boss, Dale Earnhardt Jr., who's got to win this year as a crew chief. And I'd love to know what he's thinking right now.
Talk about win percentage.
Yeah.
And I like his percentage chances right now.
That's really good. Allgaier up there, too. inside the top 10. Quapple's in the top 10. So 4 cars from JRM in the top 10. 9 laps to go, Kim.
Yeah, we talked all day about how the rear seats aren't staying on the 9 of SVG. How bad is it? Here's what he just told the team. So again, bad enough that if a caution were to come out, SVG thinks they'd be at advantage taking tires.
No, that ain't happening.
First ones for the end of this race.
31 cars on the lead lap. Sign me up to watch him try to run through that bounce inside of what would be like 6 or 7 laps to go if the yellow were to fall.
Now, I'm not SVG, but I got sort of bad news from him. I did that exact thing last year. I hit it out of the top 5 late races and to make up positions. I just don't see enough tire fall off to make the difference. Even though he's complaining about grip, he's still, faster than everyone else on track.
Well, hey, we did have a restart late last week at Chicago. And in all these 2 on the front row, they had very different days because Zilich had to start in the back. But there they were. And there was the move. SVG taking it to the 88. And Zilich was the control car in that situation.
I think really, at the top of the show, Connor learned a lesson. You know what Shane's willing to do and how badly he wants to win, whether it's against a teammate or someone else. It really doesn't matter. He wants to win these races. He, upended his life and came all the way around the other side of the world to be in NASCAR to win races. And when the opportunity's in front of him, he wants to get it, as he's trying to do right here. Even with those rear tires given up, as he said, he's getting right to that rear bumper of Connor Zilich. And I think this is also incredibly impressive by Connor Zilich at his age, to be in this position, have this level of pressure, to have the team telling him he's got to save fuel, he's got to take care of the rear tires. They're paying attention to this car behind him, who's one of the most experienced stock car road racers in the world, one of the most successful in the world, and he's barely made a single mistake.
Yeah, he really has, and you can't overstate that enough, how difficult it is to hit your marks, hit those brake zones. As we hear tires squeal getting into the guys. Oh my gosh.
6 laps to go this time by. 7 laps to go this time by.
Yeah, I think Zilich might have came in a little too hot in turn 11 that last time. He gave up quite a bit of ground to Shane Van Gisbergen, and I would like to think that was probably his tires that were squawking. As he was working his way through that corner, it was picked up on the mic around the racetrack. Shane Van Gisbergen is as close to the back bumper of Connor Zilich as he has been in quite some time, really. He's only got about a car length and a half difference as they enter turn 4A. And now into turn 7. Who's going to make a mistake first is basically going to come down to it. I don't really bank on either one of these two making a major mistake in this situation because of how talented they are, because of how many laps that they've driven at near perfectness throughout the course of the race today, at least in comparison to everybody else in the field. It's straight up going to come down to who is going to beat the other. And Shane Van Gisbergen being in second, if he could just stay within a car length or 2, we've seen him use the front bumper before. I'm not saying he's going to dump Connor Zilich, but he could get him off the line. Last week in Chicago, kind of ran the 88 a little bit wide, and I think if you're Connor Zilich, you have to be willing to do whatever back if for whatever reason you get passed beforehand. Zilich was able to gap Shane Van Gisbergen through turns 11 through the next lap, turns 2 and 3. Where at this area of the racetrack the last time by, he had about a car length and a half gap. That's about 3 car lengths or so now into turn 4 this time. Shane Van Gisbergen charges the corner, gets a little bit of that time back. Now into turn 7, looking to do the same thing. It does look like Van Gisbergen was sliding the rear tires just a little bit more out of the exit of turn 7. Now through the S's. They'll be coming up on 5 laps to go this time by here in Sonoma. Third place, William Sawalich is 9.5 seconds off the lead. Then Nick Sanchez, who is in 4th, is 11.3 seconds back. While the top 2 continue to battle on. And tightly, they're battling at that. We've had 0 cautions for incidents so far today, 9 lead changes. We're just under 2 hours in elapsed time to get to 75 laps out of 79 for the scheduled distance. Still other battles going on inside the top 10 spots. Currently, Carson Kvapil looking to make a pass on Austin Hill for 9th and is able to do so successfully through turn 11. Sammy Smith trying to follow in. He'll now be side by side for Austin Hill in the upcoming corners, battling for 10th. Shane Van Gisbergen through turn 4 again, just kind of inches a little bit closer. He's been better than Zilich in turn 4 specifically 2 laps in a row now. Pretty even for the most part everywhere else. Big hop off the curbing by Zilich, but it doesn't look like it hurt the car any going through the S's that time around. Fastest laps that these two ran in the race today was lap 34 and 32 back in stage 2, where everybody from 3rd place through the rest of the top 9, 3rd through 9th, all ran their fastest laps of the day in stage 3. But these two, despite running their fastest laps in stage 2, are still pulling away from the rest of the field. And by quite a bit, especially now as we've had this long of a green flag run. 4 laps to go. At the timing line, the start-finish line specifically there, it looked like Zilich had about 3 car lengths over SVG again. So he was able to pull back away in the closing corners of the last lap when SVG had done so much over the 2 laps combined to really get back to within that car length and a half distance. He's probably going to gain in turn 4 again here. At least on corner entry. Corner exit very close to that tired compact wall on the outside. Van Gisbergen doing everything he can to be on the throttle for as long as he can. Corner entrance and corner exit. This time SVG had a little bit bigger bounce off the curbing through the S's, but again, it didn't hurt him, much like it didn't hurt Zilich the lap before. Into the hairpin again. Van Gisbergen closes in the braking zone. There's a lap car right in front of the race leader. I would assume that that driver will get out of the way, and they will. That is the 45. Oh, Corey Day goes wide in the S's. Probably had contact from behind. Brad Perez, by the way, was the lapper in the 45. We stay green. Day's going to have to get back out on course. He was able to keep it off the wall, and his car is still running, but obviously that's tough because he was running around 10th, 11th place. And we're going to see where he falls now. 24th by the time he regathers himself back on the racetrack again. It was contact with the 21 of Austin Hill. Hill bounced up on the curb, getting into turn 8. And that caused him to clip the left rear of Day, and around goes Day. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, we are down with less than 2.5 laps to go. And the battle for the race win between Connor Zilich and Shane Van Gisbergen. Entering turn 10, working on 11 this time by. We'll have 2 to go at the line. SVG has about a 2.5 car length gap on entry into the braking zone of turn 11. Around the hairpin, back to the start-finish line. Zilich wins the race back to the throttle. He'll extend his gap over SVG even more. And Van Gisbergen now has about 4 to 5 car lengths of a difference into the carousel in turn 2. Definitely not out of it yet, though. He had a big gain in turn 2, and he probably got about 2 car lengths of that 5 car length deficit back immediately. Out of turn 3, and again, SVG closes, and now he's about a car length and a half off the lead. Into turn 4, where he's been better than Zilich. He put the bumper to Connor. First chance he had, he was quite a ways off the lead. Hits the back of the 88. Now a defensive line by Zilich into 7. Kind of used him as his brakes, and SVG is all over the back of Connor Zilich. He uses the bumper again into the S's. Zilich holds on to the lead barely. SVG quite literally is wearing the bumper out on Connor Zilich's number 88 Chevrolet. And the 2 junior motorsport teammates will have to settle it more than likely to the final lap. SVG trying to cram it into the braking zone in turn 11. Gets to the back of the 88, but it was so subtly, neither car really goes offline. And we still have one more lap around this 1.99-mile road course. He lost some time getting out of turn 11. Zilich needs to keep as much of a gap between himself and Shane Van Gisbergen as possible. I mean, it's checkers or wreckers at this point. Through turn 3, big gain for Van Gisbergen. Second consecutive lap. He's on the back bumper of the 88. Lost time on exit. He'll probably try to cram it off into turn 4 again. Doesn't get to the back bumper of Zilich in turn 4 this time, but he does gain a lot of ground. Now in turn 7, he puts the bumper to Connor Zilich. Zilich jams on the brakes, slowing both cars up. They're still 9 seconds ahead of Sawalich. It's only between these two. And now through the S's again. Great job by Zilich to hold on to this point. Van Gisbergen looks low. And out of turn number 10, we will have one hairpin and a kink remaining. Defensive line by Connor Zilich. He'll give the outside to Shane Van Gisbergen. Into the braking zone. SVG goes a little bit wide. The undercut on corner exit's not going to be enough. And Connor Zilich is going to hold on and win at Sonoma under immense pressure from one of the best, if not the best, in the NASCAR ranks on the road courses. Connor Zilich will get his 3rd win of the season, 4th of his NASCAR Xfinity Series career. What a show these two put on, not only down the stretch, but from the start of the race. They qualified on the front row, and they finished 1-2. They ran there most of the day up until then. I mean, he did everything but wreck him. And you'd have to think he didn't want to do that, especially with it being a teammate. Just, good stock car racing on a road course. And the rookie gets the upper hand here today. Beatable one day. We'll see what he can do again tomorrow in the Cup Series race. But for today, it's Connor Zilich who is victorious, and you'll get to hear from him in a few moments, as he is the race winner of the Pit Boss FoodMaxx 250 at Sonoma. Great drive by both of these two, all race long. Pretty straightforward strategy with the 2 stops today. They were able to easily stay ahead of it. And redemption from a week ago for Connor Zilich, where he finished 2nd to SVG, gets him back 1 week later. Man, oh man. I need to get more water in me after that finish. I got a little bit of a headache. I was getting excited. Got to calm down. What a race. It was 2 of the best at their very best. At what they do best. I think the great Ric Flair once said, to be the best, you have to beat the best. Well, Connor Zilich beat the best today. Yeah, we'll definitely have the highlights uploaded to the channel following the finish of this race. And I'll try to get that out as soon as the stream done. Zilich burning it down at the flag stand area of the racetrack. He's done a few burnouts around this 12-turn road course. Some point he will be getting out of his car and capturing the checkered flag and giving us an interview. And I'm sure we'll get an interview from Shane Van Gisbergen as well. You'll get to listen in to both of their interviews. And then we will go over the Finishing results. Margin of victory today, 0.4 of a second. Only 2 yellows were the stage ends at lap 20 and lap 45. 9 lead changes. 1 hour, 56 minutes, and 10 seconds total time on the race, and 7 laps under yellow between the 2 stage breaks today. Zilch leads the most laps and gets the win. 46 laps led, 24 for Van Gisbergen. Brandon Jones won stage 2, and Sam Mayer won stage 1. Here's your race winner, Connor Zilish.
What a battle in racing between two of the best on the road courses here in the Xfinity Series. Connor, I know after last week, there was a lot on your mind about how you wanted to race things out at the end. How did you elevate your own game this week to be able to do what you did there racing against him at the end?
Yeah, man. First, hats off to Shane. That was awesome. All race long, I felt like we were racing each other with respect. I will hopped a little bit into 7 that one time and got into him, but other than that, it was awesome to get to race against him finally and battle with him a whole race long. But so proud of this Roto-Rooter Chevrolet 88 team. We did such an awesome job all weekend long, just executing. And our car was as fast as Xfinity Mobile from the moment we got here. We made the right adjustments, and here we are. Victory lane. Feels good.
The last few laps, really that whole last stage, you had to worry about saving fuel, as did he, but you also had to worry about just trying to hold him off. How did you do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's always the hardest trying to save fuel while someone's breathing down your neck. But yeah, I mean, there was a chance he could have gotten by me when he hit me, and he let me have it and raced me clean. So I respect the hell out of him for that. And I'm looking forward to racing against him more. We got to race against each other at Watkins Glen, and that's one of my favorite tracks. So hopefully I can beat him again there.
Right, the last thing, to do it straight up the way you did it and come out on top this time, how rewarding is that?
Yeah, it's awesome. I didn't want to have to do anything dirty to win this race, and I'm glad I didn't, and glad I got to do it fair and square. And I learned a lot racing around him, and he's got so many years of experience on me that I can learn from. So, yeah, very glad to get the opportunity to race against him. Glad he came to America to race.
My interview lagged.
Beautiful, and
there we go.
With some fans, so awesome. So thank you guys for coming out, and enjoy the race tomorrow.
Congratulations. Connor Zilish, his 3rd one of the year, and he had to earn this one for sure, Kim.
Yeah, and on the flip side of it, Dylan asked if you have to settle for second. I know you didn't have the rears on the car you wanted. It did get a little physical there in the end. Was there room to be more aggressive with Connor?
Yeah, but I didn't want to be. Congrats to those guys. What an awesome race. I hope everyone enjoyed that. I give him a bump into 7, wheel hopped, and probably could have taken it, but I just waited, and I didn't want to do it like that, and then we raced down the hill. But what an awesome race. Thank you to Quadlock, Chevy, Junior Motorsports. I had a blast all day, so really, really fun.
This is one of 2 races you'll run here this weekend. Tomorrow you will start from the pole. What's the outlook for the Cup race?
Yeah, hopefully we can have another good race. I learned a lot today, how the track rubbered and how it changed. The lines changed a bit during the race, so really valuable to do this race, and a lot of fun too.
SVG comes home second.
Boy, it's an impressive.
I mean, that was some top-tier NASCAR road course racing we got to see today, and again, 2 of them at their best when it comes down to being also the best at this discipline of racing, especially with the NASCAR Xfinity Series cars for Connor Zilish and Shane Van Gisbergen for Cup and Xfinity. He does not go back-to-back at Sonoma or back-to-back in the Xfinity Series in back-to-back weeks, but we do get the same top 2 finishers back-to-back weeks, just inverse from a week ago. We'll go through the finishing results and then hop on out of here. We'll be back. He did lead the most laps today. And I do believe that Shane Van Gisbergen had the fastest lap of the race, 76.86, finishing in 2nd. William Sawalich, best day he's had by far all season. Ran top 4 all day, finishes 3rd. Nick Sanchez finishes 4th. 3 straight top 5 finishes for him, following his win at Atlanta and Chicago Street Race, finishing 5th last week and 4th this week at Sonoma. Riley Herbst, quiet day, good one. Finished 5th. He was the other Cup regular in the field outside of SVG today. Justin Allgaier finishes 6th. Taylor Gray 7th. Carson Kvapil 8th. 9th for Sammy Smith. And Sheldon Creed rounds out the top 10. Austin Green in 11th. Austin Hill 12th. Brandon Jones 13th. Josh Bilicki 14th. And Josh Williams 15th. 16th was Will Rogers. Sam Mayer 17th. Dean Thompson 18th. Blaine Perkins 19th. And Jeb Burton finishes 20th. Harrison Burton 21st. Brent Poole 22nd. Anthony Alfredo 23rd. Corey Day 24th. And Kyle Sieg 25th. Matt DiBenedetto finishes 26th, Ryan Ellis 27th, Parker Retzlaff 28th, Chris Wright 29th, and he was the last car to finish on the lead lap. So first car to lap down, Jeremy Clements in 30th, then Brad Perez 31st, Daniel Dye 32nd, Connor Mosack 2 laps down in 33rd, Christian Eckes and Ryan Sieg 34th, 35th, 3 laps down each. 3 DNFs today, Sage Karam finishing 36th, Alex Labate 37th, and Jesse Love early in the race 38th. Again, no cautions per incident. Clean race, great race, and hopefully we have another great one tomorrow at Sonoma for the NASCAR Cup side. I will see you guys for that stream again, 3 p.m. Eastern start time there. I will be doing a NASCAR 08 stream tomorrow afternoon as well. Daytona, Pepsi 400, that will be at 1 p.m. Eastern at the latest. We're going to try to get that started as early as I can when I get home from work. I get off at noon tomorrow, so thanks everybody for watching. As always, I'll put up an upload later on tonight that you can be on the lookout for as the race finish of this one with my commentary. See you guys tomorrow afternoon. Have a good rest of your Saturday. And again, congrats to Connor Zilish for winning today's Xfinity race at Sonoma.